And off we go, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. Welcome in, y'all. Great to be with you again. What is happening, everybody? The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. This is The Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. Directly across from me, on the other side of the glass, metaphorically speaking, my co-host, my partner in crime, he is the great one, Lonzo. It's game day in the Carolinas, baby. That's right.
It's also extremely windy out. So
it's gross out, dude.
As windy as it is here, I wonder how windy it's going to be in Charlotte tonight.
We got into that very briefly yesterday on the Views from Mint Street podcast, available where major podcasts are found on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, Apple, iTunes, or free on the Odyssey app. Your home for Carolina Panther football talk, hosted by Lorenzo Reitzel and me. I am looking at this game and the possibility of wind, rain, gross weather in Charlotte, and thinking to myself, Zoe, there's a lot of different ways that this could play out. This evening, it is supposed to be overcast and a little windy. During the course of the day today, it is going to be rainy. It is going to be overcast. It is going to be windy. And if you're Carolina, there could theoretically be questions about what that means. This evening at kickoff time, 63 degrees, 80% chance of rain. That will lighten into lighter rain for a couple of hours, and then around 10 p.m. pick back up, according to the Weather Channel.
Just in time for the second half.
So, we talked quite a bit yesterday about the fact that the Carolina Panthers have, in my opinion, justifiably engaged the tank. PJ Walker, tank commander, 1st Carolina Panthers Regiment, is going to be on the field as a starter tonight. If it is gross and windy and rainy, Zoe, and you are trying to lose this football game, about 40 passes in the wind and the rain, right? That is very similar to what we saw happen when Clemson visited Notre Dame this past Saturday. The weather was nasty, and DJ let her rip about 40 times. They ran the ball, what was it, 20? It was like almost a 2-to-1 pass-to-run ratio.
I'm going to say even more so what happened with Ohio State Northwestern, which was even worse as far as weather and wind goes. And the quarterbacks were running the ball like crazy. So is that what we expect tonight? Who's a better runner out of the 3 quarterbacks?
It's either PJ or Baker, but through week 5 last year, Sammy D led the league in rushing touchdowns. So I think any one of them could take off running the football if he wanted to. Now, Sam Darnold is a successful runner because if he has enough time to get outside of the pocket, it is made to happen because guys get down the field, right? You're not going to run a lot of designed runs for Sam, but if things break down and the pocket collapses and guys have cleared the zone, he can get to the outside and make some moves. We saw that last year. Baker, of course, is known for his ability to extend the play. Again, probably not a guy you design runs for, but a guy that can get outside and spread it around. And PJ's probably the quickest of the group, but I don't know that he is by definition the most skilled runner of the group. Now, all of that being said, if you are the Carolina Panthers and the tank is engaged, you are indeed on the path to failure intentionally. Does that change the way you play call in the rain, in the wind, in the gross? Do you attack this game differently in the rain, in the wind, in the gross? if you are actively trying to lose the game. And I was reading a blog post earlier this AM from a guy, much like Rob Brown, who was saying, hey, this is a great point in the season if you are the Carolina Panthers to tank intentionally. Great point in the season to go ahead and let it wind down. But
I just get angry every time. I know
you do. I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
Losing on purpose. Oh, I can't.
So it's an interesting predicament, right? Because most players, especially the quarterbacks, right? If you're Baker, you don't want to lose. Because A, you're playing for a job either in Carolina or elsewhere. And B, if you are not playing for a job, scratch that. If you are intentionally trying to lose, not only are you playing for a job, but the team is trying to create a situation in which they bring up a guy to actively replace you, right? The boss came in here and said, hey, Rob, here's the deal, man. We would really like you and Lonzo to win another Crystal Trophy for South Carolina Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. But we want you to win that trophy so that the numbers go up and we can go get a bigger name host to put into your time slot, and we're going to move you to overnights. I'd be like, I might tank a little bit, right? It's just the opposite of that. If Baker and the boys lose, Carolina Panthers will actively go try to draft the best guy in the draft at the position that Baker Mayfield plays to replace him on the roster with.
So in your scenario earlier, they would have to replace me because I can't not try to win. I can't.
Even if it costs you your job?
Even if it costs me my job, I can't not try to win.
Pride cometh before the fall.
I don't know that it's pride. I think it's in my blood. When you come from a long line of winners, Rob, you can't help but win. That's what you do.
Again, it's a situation, it's a place that's really interesting. But because on one hand, yes, I want to win. I want to win everything I do. Right? Could ask the lady friend. One of the most unhealthy aspects of our entire relationship right now is the fact that every freaking thing is a conversation. Her mom literally asked her that on the phone the other day. Right? We were telling her about the fact that we're in a race to lose 20 pounds. By the way, 9 down. Not that you cared.
Good for you. I think we all care. We want to see a healthier Rob.
She's like, yeah, we're in a competition. It's a bet. First one to lose 20 pounds.
That isn't why he pointed it out. He pointed out how well he's doing in the
competition. Humble brag.
Exactly.
Pointed it out to the Madre. She's like, we're trying to drop 20 pounds. It's a bet. First one to lose 20 pounds wins the bet. And her mom's like, and reasonably so, has the normal person response of, it's good if you guys both lose weight. Like, shouldn't you be supporting each other and like helping each other and making good choices together so that neither one of you is suffering from a lack of chocolate cake and beer on your own? And we both were like, no, we tried that. It didn't work. The only thing that has driven us both to make better choices is I'm going to beat you. I'm going to drop the 20 LBs first and win this bet, right? With a guy like Baker, what is the best thing that Baker could do for job security if he was indeed telling the truth last week and he truly does want to stay in Charlotte? Win a bunch of football games, right? My goodness. If you're Steve Wilkes, if you're the Panthers and you know that Baker is going to play the best football Baker can play because job security comes with winning for him, either with your franchise or elsewhere, in Charlotte if he truly wants to stay there, or with quite the resume builder if he wins a bunch of games on the way out somewhere else because he doesn't want to go be a backup somewhere, you wouldn't start that guy, right? You wouldn't start that guy. You wouldn't go with the hot hand. You wouldn't go with the guy who is going to do everything in his power and some out of his power to win football games in order to keep himself paid, employed, and in a prestigious position. You would go with a guy who knows he's a career backup, and is happy just to have a job.
Will there ever come a day where a current player sues the team they're on for lost wages because it's hurting his bottom line and hurting his potential to earn money elsewhere by keeping him on the bench?
The hard part there is you'd have to prove intent, right? I mean, it's a really interesting hypothetical situation. I agree. I have not heard that. I have not thought about that before, and it's a really good hypothetical, right? Situation like this where a guy's being sat down and put on the bench when everybody knows he's the better option. But Steve Wilkes came out and was like, "Hey, PJ had a really good set of starts, and then he had one bad day. We're not gonna rip him out of the starting role. We're gonna give him a chance to get his life back together, get his game back together." And Baker was to sue for damages, right? But he would have to prove intent. And I unless he gets some solidified proof. That's why the Brian Flores lawsuit that's still ongoing is so interesting. Because Flores, at the onset of this discussion, claimed that he had proof, right? Claimed that he had evidence and witnesses that proved that Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, asked him to intentionally throw games and then fired him when he didn't do that. That's why this is interesting, because NFL rules prohibit a team. I mean, they flat out prohibit a team from tanking. Then they go so far as to prohibit a team from discussing tanking, from talking about tanking. And that is why, like I mentioned, I absolutely believe that the Carolina Panthers have engaged the tank. Treads are rolling, full speed ahead. Because there's no other justifiable reason Baker Mayfield doesn't start right now.
I got to say, if the winds and the weather is as bad as it potentially could be tonight, and I'm watching and they're calling nothing but pass plays, I probably will turn it off, because there's more proof that they're trying to tank.
Yeah, if the weather sucks and they go through the air, I agree. That would be a bad look. Texter says it just shows that Baker isn't really a leader. If he was, he would be the starter. That's from Caleb and Chesney. Caleb, appreciate the text. No, I'm going to disagree with you, right? I'm not saying Baker is a great leader or is even a leader. I don't know. I know the boys in Cleveland for the most part until the very end, and his wide receiver went full diva group on him. He was, right? But it is not Baker's decision whether to play or not, right? If it was Baker's decision, he's like, "Nah, coach, I might. But just take it on over to the pine if you need me. I'll be watching Scooby-Doo reruns on the whatever tablet Tom Brady hasn't broken yet."
Yeah, but he doesn't do that. When you see Baker on the sideline, he's writing down notes. He's talking to PJ when he comes off.
Who was the first guy to congratulate PJ when he tossed that should have been game winner to DJ Moore?
It was Baker.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, I mean, you know what a non-leader does? He goes and sits on a cooler until he's traded. That's what a non-leader does.
You ready for this fun stat? I saw this yesterday. I don't revel in other people's misfortune, except when they deserve it. Robbie Anderson's stat line for the Arizona Cardinals. You ready for it, Zoe? 1 catch, -4 yards. That's his entire stat line with the Cardinals so far. 3 weeks, 1 catch, -4 yards.
Yeah, but he's a taller guy, so Baker should be able to see him.
Kyler, but I get your hate.
Dag on it.
I get the hype train.
I messed the joke up. I'm done. I quit.
It's early, man. Hang in there. Look, I'm going to disagree with you respectfully, Caleb. I don't think that you can put this on Baker's leadership. I think you can put this entirely and exclusively on the fact that Steve Wilkes and the Panthers are looking at a top-tier draft pick, right? There are 3 QBs in this draft that are probably going to come off the board 1, 2, 3. CJ Stroud, Bryce, and Will. CJ, Bryce, and Will are the three guys, right? If you are outside, and by the way, to me, Lonzo, it's CJ, Bryce, Gap, Will, Gap, the next group of quarterbacks. And there's a few more. There's a couple more that are going to be deemed more projects than they are going to be deemed ready to go, right? CJ is going to be deemed ready to go. People are going to look at what Justin Fields is doing right now and go, you put him on a good team. Justin Fields was ready last year. They're going to look and go, CJ's ready to go, or at least at most 1 year of learning under a vet. Bryce is ready to go. Man's got a Heisman. He's ready to go. Put him behind a vet for a year at most, but maybe just plug him in halfway through season one after he gets his feet. Will Levis, Will Levis is going to take some time. I like Will Levis. I've had nothing but good things to say about Will Levis all year long. But he's a project. Then you get to the kid out of Stanford. These are all guys that are going to take a year and a half to kind of find their footing and get up to speed. I genuinely believe that. You're going to have one of the top two picks if you want to get a guy, right? If you want to get a guy. Carolina with a win this weekend takes themselves out of those 1-2, or tonight, takes themselves out of one of those 1 or 2 top picks. They bumped themselves down to 3rd or 4th. And there's still going to be QBs available, but you want your pick of CJ or Bryce or whichever one of those two is left over after the Detroit Lions get their guy, because Jared Goff ain't it no mo. So, I'm with Lonzo. If we watch this game tonight, Carolina comes out in the wind and the rain, slinging the rock with P.J. Walker, right? Here's the other thing I like about this, though. It kind of gives them a built-in excuse, right? It kind of gives them a built-in excuse, because if PJ comes out and stanks up the field, what does Steve Wilkes get to say? I doubt any quarterbacks would have succeeded out there, right? Conditions were tough. It was tough, but we had a game plan, and, despite the elements, we tried to execute that game plan. And unfortunately for PJ, it was just tough weather conditions that, I think most quarterbacks would have failed. Because here's the thing.
Sad part is that's probably almost exactly what he'll say.
Write it down.
Yeah.
Write it down. Marcus Mariota is going to, as he does weekly, throw the ball 18 times. Tops 18 times. The Falcons have the 3rd lowest amount of passing plays in the National Football League right now. I think it's only the Bears have fewer, and the Commanders. I don't remember who. I don't remember who the other one was. But the Bears were one. And obviously, because you got Justin Fields, right? Justin Fields is a guy that you go, hey, I want you to take a 5-step drop. I want you to read progression 1, 2, 3. And if nobody's there, take off, dog. That's how he went. Would he go to the house 67 to the house this past weekend?
And he wasn't really known as a runner at Ohio State. He's adapting and doing what's available.
Yeah, he didn't need to be at Ohio State, right? He had a great offensive line and incredible wide receiver core at Ohio State. Things worked out. Don't really have that in Chicago right now. So he's got to adapt. He's got to run. That's what Marcus Mariota is right now. Handoff machine, can run it himself. He's going to throw the ball 18 times a game. So what'll happen is, here's a prognostication. Here's an educated guess about what happens tonight. Mariota throws the ball 18 times, 17, 18 times. The Panthers throw the ball 35, 36, 37 times. It does not go well. Steve Wilkes at his postgame presser tonight when they go, Coach, it was gross out there, and PJ did not have a good day. Is Baker up? Steve Wilkes gets to go, we're gonna evaluate the tape before we make a decision about next Sunday's game. PJ Walker had a rough day of it out in Cincinnati, but you can't really put tonight on PJ. The elements had a massive play in this. It was windy. It was rainy. You know, I don't think there's any. I think you could have had Aaron Rodgers out there. You could have had Tom Brady out there, and they would have had just as bad of a day because the elements had a massive impact on the game. So we're going to evaluate the tape. We're going to make a decision that is best for the team, but we are not going to hold tonight's performance against PJ because there were factors outside of our control that had a massive, massive influence on PJ's stat line. So we'll make the decision that's best for the team down the line. And if that's the case, bang, one more week of PJ. One more week of PJ. Lonzo sees his shadow, and you get one more week of PJ. Which, by the way, at the Ravens, that's a recipe for about 4 turnovers. You're already a dog in that game. So we'll see. All right, here's a couple of texts that have come in. Texter says they should have traded CMC and Sam for Jimmy G back in the beginning of the year when Trey Lance was starting at San Fran. Jimmy is a team manager quarterback, but he is consistent and could have given them a chance to win a bad NFC South. Caleb, my dude, Rob Brown literally said that. Literally said you make the trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. In fact, Jimmy Garoppolo said about 5 weeks ago that he thought he was coming to Carolina. That plan was in action. Now, what I'm betting here, Zoe, is that San Francisco said, we want McCaffrey. And Carolina went, nah. We give you, if we give you McCaffrey, there's no point to bringing Garoppolo here, right? If we give you our best player, there's no point in bringing Jimmy G to the house. And that's why that trade broke down. And then when the Panthers stunk it up, that's when the 49ers were like, how about that? How about McCaffrey now? How about McCaffrey now? Here's a list of players we're willing to come off. Here's a list of picks we're willing to come off. And it's like, hey, might as well now, right? Might as well. You're just wasting the guy's career. Might as well now. I thought Jimmy G was going to be the guy earlier in the year. Texas said Baker and Sam are back and Carolina is choosing to stay with PJ this week. I get that he played decent last week, but talk about a funny franchise. I'm for Sam or Baker if they can. As I said, PJ playing tonight is the reason I believe the tank is engaged. PJ playing tonight is the reason that I believe that Carolina's playing for a draft pick, not dubs. If they were playing for dubs, Baker or Sam is out there. But they're going to limit Baker's snaps to the best of their ability so that the pick they sent to Cleveland does not accelerate around and they don't have to pay him more. Which is why I suspect they stick with PJ tonight. And if PJ stinks it up, the next quarterback move they make is Sam Darnold getting the start, not Baker. They're going to limit his snaps to the best of their ability. So anyway, there's a few thoughts for you as we get set for a Thursday night matchup between Atlanta and Carolina. Texas said, would you rather be in Carolina or Atlanta's position at this point in the season? Would I rather be in the position of a team going for a number 2 or 3 overall draft pick or a team that leads its division? I think you and I both know that, right, Texter? Right? You want to be the team going for the draft pick. I want to be the team going for the draft pick, not the team leading a terrible division. Is Atlanta going to beat any other division leader right now? No. 4 out of 5 are going to other division winners. I'd rather have the draft pick. All right, let's take a break. What's your response to that? Let's talk about that when we come back. Would you rather be Carolina or Atlanta right now? Carolina throwing games to get a top 2 draft pick and a good quarterback, or Atlanta leading the worst division in football with a sub-500 record? Who would you rather be? Let's break that down when we come back. Rob Alonzo and you on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. I went to go get the boo box, but I forgot you told me that my punishments are in there, not yours right now. I don't know where mine are or yours are.
My 2 or 3 are still in there.
Oh, so I just need to pull mine out.
I think I need more, but, it's not my fault that you put it there so you could remember to do all that and you didn't do it. That's not my fault.
I didn't say it was your fault, Lonzo.
No, I'm talking to them.
Oh, okay.
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking
I'm
to
not
them.
talking to you.
Especially Steven, the reminder, who obviously loves to see me suffer.
We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, click on Qualify Me, and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I've been around the real estate game for many years. My dad was a real estate agent when I was growing up, and he taught me a lot of rules of real estate. One of them that I have seen broken because sometimes people just do not have the best information available is when you're going to sell your home, you want to sell it for the most money possible, obviously. And in order to accomplish that, you need the expertise of an Allen Tate realtor in your corner. In today's low inventory market, homes in good condition attract multiple buyers. And with multiple buyers comes multiple offers, sometimes within days of listing. And when buyers compete, you sell your home for more money. So when you are ready to sell, do not settle for one offer when you can choose your best offer. Choose the Carolina's #1 real estate company, Allen Tate. Reach out to them now. You can find them online at allentate.com. allentate.com. It's our friends at Allen Tate Realtors.
You might not know this, but the Ingles Bakery is actually a bakery. As in, we bake things, really delicious things. Things like crusty breads, just waiting for that scrumptious strawberry jam. Apple fritters to pair perfectly with that morning cup of coffee. Cakes for any occasion, customized to your precise standards. And if we mention cookies, it's all in the bag. Ingles, low prices, love the savings.
Hey, hockey fans, join the Greenville Swamp Rabbits and celebrate the upstate with 864 night, Saturday, November 12th at 7 p.m. A night all about upstate South Carolina and its people. Tickets on sale at swamprabbits.com.
Let's face it.
All right, they want more clever titles. Here's my title. It's Game Day for the Panthers. How will a tank fare in the wind?
Solid.
I'm only good for one a day. The rest are going to suck. Maybe on purpose.
The average credit card company charges over 19% APR, but with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 6.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
There's no derailing here, James. That's impossible.
Save money. Much lower rate.
Derailing, James, means that we were at some point railed. And if there's one thing Lonzo and I don't do, it's be railed.
We ain't got no strings here, yo. We're not beholden to the
Joe
outline.
Bright, the Carolina Panthers gave up roughly 932,000 yards of offense last week. So that might not be terrible.
Yeah, but they didn't give up that much to Mariota last time they played. And Mariota is not Joe Burrow last time I checked. And the wind affects both sides, or it should.
Oh, was that you that texted that question? Because I really like it, to be honest with you. We're about to do a segment on it. I liked it. I was about to say something very snarky. I decided not to.
If you hadn't spoken, I probably would have, because I was on the edge.
So that was an interesting question we got on the text line a second ago. Whose position would you rather be in right now? Would you rather be the Atlanta Falcons, leading the worst division in football with a sub-500 record, where your competition for that playoff spot sees Tom Brady lined up across from you? Or would you rather be the Carolina Panthers, getting punched in the mouth metaphorically as a fan for the remainder of the year, but knowing that unless something goes drastically wrong because things go right, you were going to end up with one of the two most elite quarterback prospects in next year's draft? Sub 500 division leaders in the worst division in football, or lined up to grab CJ or Bryce, potentially franchise quarterbacks in next year's draft. Lonzo, which one of those two positions would you rather be in?
First of all, I think your example is somewhat flawed because you put Tom Brady out there as someone to be feared.
I did that for you.
Yeah, because he had one good drive last week. Now he's back. Look at it. See? He's back. They're going to win the whole thing.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, Lonzo.
Yeah, whatever. If you're old, that single step takes a while. Anyway, so this is a hard question for me, and no offense to Falcons fans, but I can never picture myself as being a Falcon. So it's hard for me to answer this question. I think either position is not good right now. It's not. But you're right. If you win the division, you're gonna have a lesser draft pick, and you're gonna go and probably get your butt kicked in the first round. You probably are. But I would rather be that, because that would mean at least I was trying to win, as opposed to, hey, we're going to get a good draft pick next year. Yay.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah, just
exactly right. Yay.
I just, in the back of my mind, I hear all those teams, the future looks bright, the future looks bright, the future looks bright, and the future never comes. I want to win now. I don't want to win later. I don't want to plan for the future. I want to win now. There's no guarantee that next year will even happen. We've seen that. You try to win now.
I would very much rather be in the position of the Carolina Panthers than the Atlanta Falcons right now.
I was going to say, if you said you'd rather be an Atlanta Falcon, I might have had to pull that.
There is never a time where I will make that statement. I would rather be a Carolina Panther than an Atlanta Falcon right now. Big picture wise, right? Atlanta, as I've mentioned multiple times, leads the worst. And when I say the worst division in football, Lonzo, it's not particularly close. The NFC South is an absolute dumpster fire. The closest division in the NFC is the West, where you got two teams sub 500. You got one team that is 500, and you got a 6-3 Seattle team up top. The best team in the NFC South would be third in the NFC West. They would be second in the NFC North, but behind a 7-1 Vikings team and a single game ahead of a embarrassingly bad Packers team. In the AFC, we've done this a number of times. The leaders of the NFC South would be third in the West. They would be dead last in the East. They would be third in the North. And they would be second in the South, which is a division with the Colts, Jags, and Texans. All of whom, the Colts and Jags, one game off the lead of the NFC South. That's how bad it is right now. So if you're Atlanta right now, you're sub 500. Tied for the divisional lead, but you're sub 500. Any other division, you are, in what, two divisions, you're second. Every other division, you're third or last. Competing for a playoff spot is the goal every year. But if you go in as a divisional leader right now, your wild card teams out of the NFC are both going to, as of today, both going to come out of the NFC East. Your wild card teams right now would be the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Football Giants. Now, New York Giants, Lonzo, got the Panthers by a field goal back in week, what was it, 2? Giants got them by a field goal. Late field, walk-off field goal, miracle field goal. But got them by a field goal. The Giants have gotten better since then. The Panthers have gotten worse. The Falcons will not beat the Dallas Cowboys. And you know I can't stand a Cowboy fan either, right? The Falcons would lose to the Cowboys at home. I'd be willing. I would take the Giants money line. Maybe not spread. It depends on the number. But I'd take Giants money line over the Falcons. Now, weirder things have happened. Wild card double-digit dogs have won in the NFL playoffs, sure. But you don't have to do it once. You got to do it 3 times to get to the dance and 1 more in the dance to raise a ring, right? To raise a banner. Now, you got to have a ticket to the dance in order to get there. But you can have a crack at running through the Cowboys or Giants in round 1. Then you would have the Eagles or the Vikings in round 2, and probably the Seahawks waiting for you after that, depending on how the bracket formed up, to get to a Super Bowl. Carolina, on the other hand, Carolina ends up in a spot where, yeah, it stings, it sucks, nobody likes to lose. Nobody's going to games. Team's bad. Get all that. But we're at a point in the NFL. This may change in the future. It may not. I don't know. But we are at a point in the NFL where if you want to win, you got to have an above-average quarterback. You just have to. It's not an option anymore. You got to have an above-average quarterback. You can have an above-average quarterback and a great defense, and that'll help. Have an above-average quarterback and a great running game, and that'll help. But you still got to have an above-average quarterback. I'm not saying Baker Mayfield ain't the guy. I'm still not saying that. He might be, right? Matt Rule sucked. We know that. And Matt Rule had an impact on a lot of players. Look what happened to P.J. Walker when Matt Rule left. Look what happened to DJ Moore when Matt Rule left. Look what happened to Deontay Foreman when Matt Rule left. All those guys broke out the day Matt Rule got kicked up out of Charlotte. The day. Maybe the same happens for Baker. Maybe Baker comes in and breaks out. If I was a head coach who gave a damn about wins, I'd want to find out. I'd want him on the field to find out. The only reason I would if he's not out there. But if we're going to engage in that, then the Panthers are in a better spot. Because beating 3 clearly better teams back to back to back to go to a Super Bowl is probably less likely than either CJ or Bryce becoming an NFL franchise quarterback. The odds are greater that CJ or Bryce become an NFL franchise quarterback than it is that the Falcons can beat back-to-back-to-back much better football teams to give themselves a shot at the dance. The Carolina Panthers, despite being last in a bad NFC South, the Panthers are in a better place than the Falcons right now, and I stand by that, Zoe.
See, I can't. I just feel like I'm repeating myself. I can't, and because I will be, because I can't fathom losing. But I agree from that standpoint that the Panthers are probably in a better position overall if you're looking to the future, for sure. I mean, it's obvious that Atlanta's ranked ahead of them right now because of wins. But what if tonight, for some strange reason, the Panthers win this game? Does the outlook change tomorrow and suddenly you're back in it, got a shot at winning the division? Do suddenly other people start playing that weren't playing? And just because, even though I'm mad.
You win this game, by the way, you are still a game and a half back of the division lead.
Yeah, and you still have to play Tampa Bay again.
Yep.
You've already beat them once.
Still got to go to New Orleans.
Already beat them once.
Right.
Atlanta's the only team in the division that's beat you. So, and we've talked about how bad or good, depending on how you look at it, the rest of the schedule is for the Panthers.
Steelers, Lions.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
so it's not out of the realm of possibility that you could accidentally start winning.
Correct. But here's the thing. They are, as of right now, in division 2-1, right? You beat Tampa, you beat New Orleans, you lost.
Yeah, but
to
you
Atlanta.
beat Atlanta tonight.
You're 3-1.
Yeah.
With a split against Atlanta. Here's the problem. The problem is then it is between you and Atlanta, it's a straight up race record rise, right? Like if you end up right now tied with Tampa Bay, you got the leg up. You still got to play them again and they're getting better.
And Tampa Bay is in Germany this week. They're playing early. You have no idea how they're going to play this week.
Right.
Because of old bones and long flights, I guess they don't mix too well.
The point here is even if Carolina wins this game tonight, they move to 3-7. The Falcons move to 4-6, and there's no heads up tiebreaker between the two now, right? Because you'd be 1-1 against each other. You are still, I mean, at that point, technically, you're not last in the division because you're 3-6, and you've got the half game tiebreaker over New Orleans, so you're third in the division over a 3-6 Saints team that just got the teeth slapped up out their mouth by the Baltimore Ravens this past Monday night, right? That's not impressive. The tiebreaker's irrelevant here.
I will hold out hope until it's mathematically impossible. That's just me. I can't. And right now, the math is still possible.
See, it's a situation where I'll make it about me for a minute, and then we'll take a break. It's unusual. I know it's not my style.
I'm riveted. I can't wait.
It's not my style. I've mentioned many times on the show that I've never been punched in the face, and I'm very proud of that fact. Because I know a bunch of tough dudes who have gotten into fights, and they all say the same thing. Getting rocked in the jaw friggin' hurts.
It does, by the way.
Right.
Especially if you have braces, which you don't have to worry about.
And here's the thing. There have been situations in my life where I'm like, I'm about to fight. This is it. This is about to go down. Like, this is it. This is going to be my first fight. And there have been various things that have stopped that. Cops, bar managers, whatever. Right? Friends that have stopped it, which I'm very grateful for because, again, don't want to get punched in the face. So if I walk up into a bar and there's a dude who walks up in a schmedium shirt with the muscles all jacked, looking like dollar store Brock Lesnar, and that dude gets into my face, it's like, you and me, we're going to go. Touches my girlfriend's butt, knocks my drink off the table, flips my food in my... Do I want to fight that dude? Yeah. Do I want to beat that dude down? Heck yeah. Do I want to throw hands and make that dude regret what he just did? Hell yeah. You know what I'm going to do? Walk away. Walk away. Because I'm going to look at that dude and go, never been in a fight in my life. I'm not beating this guy. This guy looks like he eats weights for breakfast. I'm not beating this guy. I'm not going to engage in a fight I can't win. And even if Carolina was to, let's say, Tampa Bay melts down, Atlanta does Atlanta things and chokes late in the year, and the Carolina Panthers win the NFC South. Hooray! We raise a banner. What happens when we play Dallas? What happens when we play Seattle? What happens when we play Minnesota, when we play Philly? And we got to play 3 of them back to back to back. We get worked. We get that smoke, son. We are Rob Brown staring at dollar store Brock Lesnar across the bar going, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm out, dude. There's more bars where I can have more fun. And I'm taking the risk because maybe the bar I'm at is fun, but the bar down the street might have a better band and a better happy hour. And dudes who don't want to beat my rear end, right? I'm going to that bar just in case. It might not work out. I might get there and that bar might suck. And the band sucks and the drinks are expensive. And there's another dude who wants to beat the hell out of me. But I'm rolling the dice. And it doesn't require me to get punched in the face to do it. That's where the Panthers are right now. That's what I'm doing.
And I'm picking up a bottle and hitting fake Brock right between the eyes.
Have at, buddy. Have at. As you just said, getting punched in the jaw hurts.
You're right. But if you throw the first punch, maybe he don't get back up. Those guys are not real flexible. It's like those drums that you turn like in Karate Kid. That's how they have to fight. So you right up the middle. That's where you go, up the middle.
The difference between you and me is I am willing to look at a situation and go, I can't win.
I
can't
also
win.
know that I'm not running away from the situation. I'm too old. So,
I will waddle
Survival
away from
mode.
the situation. Limp away from the situation. All right, text us. Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. Would you rather be in the position of the Panthers or the Falcons right now? What's your answers? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. James, you and I have both met that guy. We have both met you disrespecting me by looking at me wrong. You know that. I hate that guy. Hate that guy. Getting a top 2 draft pick is a double-edged sword. You get the high pick, that could be great, but you're also kind of stuck with that guy for 3-ish years if he doesn't pan out, i.e. the Jets with Darnold or the Bears with Trubisky. No, I don't disagree, Joe, but here's the way I phrased it. The odds of which situation are more in your favor? Not good, but more in your favor. Are the odds more in your favor that Bryce or CJ turn into franchise quarterbacks? Or are the odds more in your favor that you can beat 3 back-to-back out of the group of Minnesota, Philadelphia, Dallas, New York, Seattle? Right? Pick your 3. Are the odds better CJ or Bryce become franchise quarterbacks, or that you can walk through 3 of those games and make the dance? The odds are higher that CJ or Bryce are the dude. They both look great. One of those dudes is the dude. You just hope you 50-50 pick the right one. James said Greedo punched first. I think if Rob ever actually gets in a fight and fares well, he'll contact Dana White for a UFC contract. The only fight I've ever been in, like an actual scrum I was in, was at a bar where a buddy of mine, actually, I talked about yesterday, Drake. There were like 3 dudes that were trying to get it on. Drake stepped in to to make him stop. And 2 of the boys and one of the guys in the fight jumped on Drake and were trying to get him off. And Zoe is the only time I've ever worked and thought, I'm going to try a wrestling move here. And this was an actual wrestling move, not just a WWE move. But I got dude in a full Nelson, like got the fingers locked up behind his head and then just rolled backwards and held on. Just held on. Dude's flying. He's trying to get up. I just wrapped legs and have full body weight on his back. Literally held on until the cops showed up. Because I wanted to make sure I didn't get punched in the face. Which seemed like a solid strategy.
Well, it worked, apparently.
Travis Benson, owner of CNT Foundations.
In uncertain economic times, your home may be your most valuable asset, but a foundation problem can seriously cripple that value. And if money is tight, you may consider putting off the repair. That's not a good idea. And it's why we offer no interest financing for up to 2 years for qualified homeowners. Don't risk it. Call today.
Again, I can't fathom the idea of trying to lose. Was it the master lock or was it the hurt lock? That's the question, James. I'll ask him when he comes back in. Although at the time when he was fighting, the hurt lock didn't exist. So it probably was the master lock. Now the question is, did he go out? Because apparently you can go out if you get in a full Nelson. I don't understand how that's possible unless you're doing like the Spock grip on the back of the neck. I can see how a sleeper might actually work, but because you're going across, but how's that? I mean, ow, you're pushing on my neck and you're raising my arms.
The Wendy's $3 breakfast deal is here.
Do you have a irrational dislike of any hokey talk radio shticks? Like something that like a bunch of talk radio hosts do that drives you nuts? I have one. I just learned what it was.
Yeah, when you complain about things that technically are wrong on the are going wrong on the air, that's a problem for me.
Yeah.
As you've heard discussed quite a bit lately. That's I hate. I think that's bad radio.
Agree with that. The one that I just got was, I despise segments about celebrities' birthday. It's so-and-so's birthday. They're 42 today. I'm like, am I sending a card? I don't care.
Demographics.
Oh, I get it.
Demographics. The demographics for that particular thing is geared towards people. Yeah. One or the other.
True. There's only two it could be.
Yeah.
Wrapping up hour number 1 on the Rob Brown Show. Texter says, Rob, I am not a fan of either team, but I hate the narrative of not giving all you have till the end. Any team can win anytime. Just look at the Jets. This goes for all sports. Neither team is a player away. By the way, you may get your ass beat in the bar, but you cannot let another man touch your girl. Listen, somebody disrespects the girl, they're going to get words, right? I'm going to be like, dude, step. Come on. It's happened before. Second closest I've ever been.
Don't make me use my words.
I will words you.
Look out.
Here's the thing. I've talked my way out of every fight I've almost ever been in, right? I will talk you off the ledge before I let you punch me in the face. Happened in Jacksonville. Had a dude get up on the girl I was dating at the time, and I initially, respectfully, I'm like, hey, dude, she's with me. If you don't mind backing up. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. The girlfriend tried to get behind me. He tried to get through me to her. Fortunately, we were there with like 3 other dudes who all stepped up and were like, no, bro, it's not happening. By the way, this is in Jacksonville, though. It was in a hip-hop glance club at 2 p.m.
Why?
Not my decision to be there before you ask why.
Why are you in a hip-hop dance
Not my
club
decision
at
to be
2
there.
p.m? Is it hopping at 2 p.m?
It was popping.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you'd have told me it was 2 a.m, I'd have believed you. It was popping.
Well, when it's dark in there, how could you tell?
They had the windows closed.
Right.
It was dark.
Yeah, I mean, it
Anyway.
makes sense.
I'm like, dude, listen, man, with all due respect, if you want to go, we're going to go. But here's what's going to happen. You and I are going to get picked out of this bar, right? I'm going to let you throw the first punch. I'm going to press charges. It's going to be on videotape. And on top of that, there's 3 more dudes here. So you'll get the first lick, but you are going to get worked and you're going to be the one that gets charges pressed because you threw the first punch. So if you want to go over the woman who clearly is now behind me to keep me between you and her, we can go, right? But then I talked it out. That's the goal for me. I'm not trying to get punched in the face. That being said, regarding the whole, give it all. Here's the thing. I got no doubt, though, that every single person wearing a black helmet tonight, because both teams will be, every single person wearing a black helmet tonight is going to go out there to try to win the game. To try to win the game. I don't think there's going to be a player that doesn't try to win the game. It is the coaching decisions that have made me believe that the Panthers organization is going to try to lay it down, not the players. They might very well win the game. I'm just saying the coaching and the management are going to do what they can. It's Major League, dude. They're going to do what they can to try to lay it down, and the players are going to try to prevent that from happening, which, of course, causes conflict and controversy. And we'll see how it shapes up as far as players wanting to or not stick around in the future. I got more text to respond to when we come back and plenty more to talk about, including coming up at 11:20. It's Fight Club. Rashad Beard will join us on tomorrow. He can't do it today because he's getting set up for the game. Rashad will be here tomorrow to break it down. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It's the Fan Upstate.
All right, so now for the more important question that's been asked in the stream. Someone, I think it was James, wanted to know if it was the master lock that you put on, and because it couldn't be the hurt lock when you put them in the full Nelson because the hurt lock didn't exist then.
Hurt lock did not.
So was
just full Nelson. That's
so it
what
wasn't
that move is.
So my thing is how can someone go to sleep in a full Nelson?
They don't. That's what drives me crazy about that move.
As I mentioned, do you put the Spock move
It's
on
not
them
so
on their
much-
neck when you're in the, I mean, what do you do?
So much like the full Nelson.
I've been in a full Nelson before, and I've applied the full Nelson
Yeah.
before. And
The-
I
the
just
full-
don't.
The full Nelson is not. By the way, who the hell is Nelson?
Yeah, I don't
and
know
how
who
did that-
Nelson is. I don't.
The full Nelson is not designed to hurt. The full Nelson is not designed to
It's
cause
to
pain.
incapacitate, but it doesn't.
Correct.
It doesn't
It's a
stop the lower
restraint.
body unless you put on some scissors with your
Right,
legs.
and that's what I said. Like I hit it with the dude, and then I knew that, So I rolled backwards to the ground. I was bigger than the dude, so there was no chance he was going to be able to muscle me up off the ground, and then went legs around waist so that every bit of my, at the time, 225-ish was on his back. There was no getting up. He had no leverage to get up off the ground. And once you get those fingers locked, that he can't do anything. There's no way to pull those fingers apart, right? I don't care how big you are. When your arm's like this, like you can only move your shoulder so far forward. You can't break that hold if you can get it on. And I will totally admit that I put the dude in when he was not paying attention to me, right? Like I snuck up behind him to do it because it's hard to lock on if the dude's squared up with you. Easy when they're not paying attention. Slip it, hook it, you're good. The only concern I had was that one of his boys was going to see that he was restrained and I was going to be on the ground, and then I'm screwed.
I think I might have been more concerned if he was enjoying it, but that's just
I'd been fine as long as he wasn't punching my friend in the face.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, you're not thinking the same way I am, but that's fine. That's one way. I think that's one way to get out of it.
There's nothing that dude is going to do in that situation that's getting me off that hold. My masculinity is not so high that I'd be like, sorry, Drake, you're on your own. This guy's weird. You're on your own. Sorry if he hit you in the face and knocks you out.
One thing to say. It's something totally different when you're in the situation. But I mean,
I was the one in the situation.
No. It was a smart move on your part.
I'm not letting my dude get rocked because of my own pride.
Where did Rob hates Clemson come from? Come on, Steven. Where is that? All the other stuff, you're right, but I don't know about Clemson.
I do not hate children. I love children. I just don't want one. There's a difference.
Oh, he also doesn't like old people. You should put that in there.
I like old people too. I just think some old people are
and bad parking. He doesn't like.
I hate bad parking. There is very little. I'll tell you one thing I do hate is confrontation. I hate confrontation. There is very little that I'm like, I'm going to confront this person. Somebody doing a crap parking job will absolutely draw the ire of Rob Brown. I will absolutely approach you and be like, sir, you do realize you are parked in two spots right now, right? Like you are making life more difficult for your fellow man. Lack of consideration for other people is a trait that we should be actively working on to eliminate from society.
I mean, that's all well and good, but I don't care what you just said. I get that, James, unless you're that guy who's waiting at the light and you're behind you and you're waiting for you to turn and
behind you.
There's clearly space. I don't talk for a living. There's clearly space for you to go and you're overly cautious and you're waiting and do that. Or you drive 35 miles an hour on Highway 14. I got a problem with that too.
I don't need you to speed when we're on the interstate. I do need you to do the speed limit. I was behind a guy on 85 the other day going back home to Taylor's. I was behind a dude doing 45 miles an hour on the interstate. And it wasn't like I try to be considerate in that like maybe the guy has car issues and he's on the way to the mechanic to get it fixed to where he can accelerate. This dude was in like a nice car.
You're wrong, Trey. Well done.
Unless you don't have arms, if you use your feet to do things, you're an animal.
You know what I hate about people on the road? I'm like, man, this is an old man. And I pull up and I realize he's probably the same age as me. And I get worried that I'll be that guy. Although
somebody take Papa Alonso's
if I do the speed limit and what I'm driving, it's by accident. I mean, because their car don't want to do that. It's all I can do to not peel out in my driveway. I have to be nice and easy. Wants to go.
Dudes, James said in the chat, Rob's old radio station picked some terrible on-site locations. No, this was Rob was dating someone for some very superficial reasons.
She was a dancer?
Wasn't that kind of club.
Okay, well, I mean,
No,
yeah.
no, for the record, that's a fair question. I was
Yeah.
not offended by that. If you're in a dark club with hip-hop music at 2 p.m, somebody's made some questionable life choices, all right? Rob Brown will go to a club. He don't care. I'll go to a bar. I'll go to a club. I don't care. I'll go to a club at 2 p.m. if it's a bar. I'm not going to a club.
He would have got them chicken wings, but it was just too expensive.
Lemon Pepper Lou. Where is Lemon Pepper Lou?
He probably plays for the Lakers.
By the way, did I tell you what happened? Last time I went home, I tried to make the stop at Magic City to grab some lemon pepper wings because I needed to know, right? My guy, Lou Williams, risked his entire NBA career to pick up some lemon pepper wings from Magic City. I stopped in the ATL at Magic City solo to grab some lemon pepper. Told the girlfriend, I'm like, listen, I am going to a gentleman's establishment, but it's only to get chicken wings, which 99% of dudes who have ever said, honey, I'm going to the strip club, but it's only for the wings, are lying. Fortunately, she listens to the show, has for a couple of years, and knew that I was blown out of the water a couple of years back when the Lou Williams story broke, that he broke the NBA's COVID restrictions to go to a strip club and get lemon pepper wings. And I'm like, dude, there's no wings that are worth an NBA contract. And this was in the noon slot when we had this conversation. But the text line went BANANAS with people going, Rob, dude, Magic City, you got to hit it. The wings are that good.
We got no payoff, though. I mean, there's a lot of build up and no payoff.
Right, because I tried. I went to Magic City. I stopped for the wings on the way back from the ATL a while back. So it is a $50 cover charge to get in the door to then buy expensive chicken wings.
Here's what I would have done.
Expensive?
I would have sent an email to
Hendrix, can I get this
no,
approved?
No. You gotta go. It's hard to go higher, but you can go higher. You can go one higher. I would send an email to a guy, let's call him Steve, and say, Steve, this is show research. I need a little bit of money because everyone wants to know. And I'm sure Steve would have forwarded you the money and you could have went in there.
Hey, Steve, I'm hitting the gentleman's club at roughly 6:30 in the evening, but I swear it's for show prep. Can I get you to forward me $100? Can I get $100 out of miscellaneous expenses?
He might have gave you a little something extra because he probably wants to know too.
James said Lemon Pepper Lou is an Atlanta legend. No, I do listen. I went to Magic City. I was getting wings. They wanted $50 to get in the door and then buy expensive wings. And again, so I'm a big chicken wing guy. I'm a huge fan of chicken wings. I love chicken wings. Nesta lady friend, I don't get to make our dinner decisions anymore because she already knows what I'm going to say. 80% of the time it's chicken wings. 20% of the time it's Mexican. That's what I want for dinner. 5 nights a week wings, 2 nights a week Mexican. I was down because if they were that good, I would stop every time I go through Atlanta going to or coming back from the Florida Panhandle, right? You can't get to Magic City.
Joseph says he door dashed it.
So my man Joey B every now and then spends a little time in the ATL, right? Every now and then spends a little time in the ATL for work purposes. And Joey B just said he door dashed Magic City. I love, unironically, sincerely, love the fact that in Atlanta, Georgia, you can DoorDash chicken wings from a strip club.
Who's delivering? I mean, you got to ask the question. Who's delivering from?
I'll tell you right now, I don't know. But if I was the marketing dude for Magic City, I know who I'd have DoorDashing, and those orders would go up dramatically.
Also, is there a mad scramble at the DoorDash place
to get every Magic City order?
To be the guy that gets to do that?
I don't know, man. Texas says, Rob, Duff's in Buffalo, New York has the best wings. I've never been to Buffalo. I've been to New York a few times. Went to New York a couple of years ago. Have never been to Buffalo, but I got to tell you right now.
I suggest you go in January.
I suggest I don't. I am going to tell you right now. Post hanging out with some Buffalo fans here in the upstate. Like I have a goal, which is to watch the Saints play at every NFL stadium in America. I have knocked off Atlanta. I have knocked off Tampa. I have knocked off Jacksonville. I have knocked off Miami. I have knocked off Carolina, obviously. I was close to knocking off New Orleans at Foxborough a couple of years ago. When we went up to Boston, New York, the Saints were at the Patriots. But we flew in on Sunday, like 2 hours before the game, and we would have had to bring our bags to the stadium, which obviously didn't work. So that, unfortunately, just bad timing. If we'd have gone up one day earlier, I'd have knocked off Foxborough. Buffalo is next on the list. I want to party with Buffalo fans. And before you ask the question, guy who's about to ask the question, yes, I would go through a table. If somebody asked me to, yes, I've already done the old dunkaroo with the Bills fans. Yes, I would. Texas said Eastside is a Bills backers bar. Always Bills fans here on game day. Great beer and wings too. Oh, I know. That's where I watched it. That's where I hung out with them. I had a Bills fan last year invite me out to a Sunday night Bills game. And I went and had a ball. Buffalo fans are just the Saints fans of the North. Saints fans are the Buffalo fans of the South. It was amazing. Buffalo's next on the list. Texas said, I feel like chicken wings are hard to bleep up, but some people manage to dry rub or saucy rub. Give me the hot and garlic parm. I am a sauce wing guy. I will eat a dry rub wing if the seasoning is real good, but I am a sauce guy all the time.
You got to go dry rub, and here's the reason why. Because if you go dry rub, you can actually taste the chicken also. If you just go straight up sauce, if you need a bib, you're probably just tasting the sauce.
Your chicken wings are too little. Your chicken wings are too little.
So you
gotta
really
find you a better chicken wing
so
place.
you don't care about the chicken, you only care about the sauce.
No, I literally just said your wings are too little if you can't taste the chicken.
Even with you're more of a sauce guy than you are a chicken guy.
No, you're wrong. Give me a smoked chicken wing. All right. I'll take fried, but give me a smoked chicken wing, a big one, meaty one. Give me a sauce on top of it. Give me sauce that mingles with the chicken. That's what I want. A healthy dose of both. Texas says,
You sound like Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Give me a healthy dose.
Give me a healthy dose of both the sauce and the wings, daddy. That's what the son of a plumber wants. Texas said, would you go through a burning table? Don't get ridiculous. Stop it.
Why? I mean, if you're going through a table, a burning table is not going to be that much different.
Wait. Joe is now telling me that Magic City has wings named after Lemon Pepper Lou. Barbecue with lemon pepper sprinkled on it. Best of both worlds. All right, Joey B. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. Next time you head to the ATL for a weekend, I might be asking for the weekend kitchen pass from the lady to come hang with Joey B in the ATL just to DoorDash Magic City Lou Will Wings.
Does Lou get any kickback from that though? I mean, they changed the name around, but still, it's. I mean, you put your name on something. If your name is on a sandwich or a wing or something, are you entitled to get a little bit of something for it, or at least get it free?
I don't know, man.
Because your name's on it.
I used to have a burger named after me at a dive bar back in Florida. I didn't need or want anything for it. I just wanted to say that the RLB3 burger was available.
We still need
and
to
there
go.
were a bunch of other dirty jokes that I made, but that show was on at 9 p.m., so I got away
We
with
still
it.
need to go get the Chris Evans burger.
I agree.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Texter said, I know what I'm getting for lunch. Smoked wings. Man, so bleep good. Bleep, 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 bleep. That's not an exaggeration. That's how many bleeps he put into that one message.
Depending on where you're getting them from, you might want to order it now, and it might be done by noon.
I love a smoked wing, dude. That's the best way to eat wings. All right, why are we doing 11 minutes on wings?
Because you're hungry?
That's correct, actually.
Because you don't eat breakfast?
That's actually correct now. Actually correct now. Texas said, I went to see the Dolphins in Buffalo while Dan Marino was still quarterback. It was in December, and Brian Cox was playing for the Dolphins back then. Buffalo fans and him mutually hated each other. Fun time and experience. That's from Joe and Greer. Yeah, Buffalo's next on the list for me. Next time it's Saints at Bills. I might build me a little New York trip around that. Buffalo's like a couple of hours from the city, though, right? Like Fox, when we went to Boston.
I think it depends on what time of year it is. Because if it's
just in general.
No,
it's
no.
like 2 hours.
Later in the year, it's going to take you a little bit longer to get there.
I'm saying it's not like you wake up in New York City, pop up for a Bills game, turn around and pop back to the city. Right? Our problem with Foxborough when it was Saints and Patriots and we were there, it burned my brownies to be in Boston like 2 hours away from Foxborough.
It's a great analogy, by the way.
Thanks. Came up with it myself. It sucked to be in Boston like 2 hours away from where the Saints were playing an away game and not be at that game, especially because that year the Saints were okay and the Pats weren't. Sucked to not be at that game, a game we won, by the way, if I recall correctly, and not be able to go. But it was just so far, like Foxborough's so far from Boston. It's not the same thing, right? Like I've always called them the Arlington Cowboys because Arlington ain't in Dallas. Texas said, a lot of celebrities go to Magic City, but they say when Janet Jackson went, the club stopped. If JJ rolled up, I'm in, dude. If Janet's in, I'm in. Texas said, Buffalo's 5 to 6 hours from New York City. See, that's the problem, man. That's the problem. Like if I, and all due respect to Buffalo, right? I love your football team. I love Josh Allen. I love your fans. Bills Mafia is my second favorite fan base outside of New Orleans right now, right? Love it. But I'm not flying to New York to go to Buffalo, right? If I'm flying to New York, I'm going to New York. It is the only city. When I say New York, you think city, not state. There's a whole damn state called New York. But when I say New York, you think city. I'm going to the city. Anyway, all right, that's enough of that. I feel like that's enough. I feel like we've done enough here. Let's get to some other stuff, shall we? We got plenty more to get into on the show today. We talked Carolina, Atlanta. If you want to get on that, you can. Texas 71307. Coming up in 46 minutes right now. This is really interesting. The District of Columbia Attorney General's upcoming announcement regarding the investigation into the Washington Commanders. Bum, 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 bum. Remember, last week, it was reported that Daniel Snyder reached out to Bank of America Securities in order to discuss a massive financial decision surrounding the Washington Commanders. The assumption being the key word here, the assumption there was that meant that Daniel Snyder was moving towards selling the Commanders, Then maybe an hour after that, it was announced that multiple law enforcement agencies were investigating the Washington Commanders for financial improprieties. The Attorney General of the District of Columbia announced that his office had been investigating the Commanders for more than 6 months, as has the Virginia Attorney General, over the allegations of financial impropriety. The U.S. Attorney's Office in the Eastern District of Virginia has also opened a criminal investigation into the allegations of financial impropriety of the Washington Commanders. Well, Zoe, the DC AG announced that coming up, they changed it. It was supposed to be 11, now at 1 p.m. The DC AG announced that coming up at 1 p.m. today, there will be a, quote, major announcement related to the Washington Commanders. I don't really care more often than not about the business dealings of billionaires who own sports franchises, unless they directly impact the team and the fans, right? Like, yeah, I obviously care about new stadiums and I care about personnel decisions and coaching hires and player signings and all that. But, like, I can't stand Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins. I think he's a shady character. And I think he's probably not a good dude. But I don't track his real estate investments, right? It doesn't really do anything for me. This is massive. There are criminal investigations happening into Dan Snyder, arguably the worst owner in the National Football League. And now the DC AG is saying, get your popcorn ready. 1 p.m., Jack. We got something to tell you. Here's the best part about this story. One of my favorite things in politics, and every single political party, top to bottom, is involved in this, is when someone brings a valid criticism against a party. You said this and you did this. And what do they do every time? Well, my opponent did this. Well, this is happening. Why isn't my opponent paying attention to this? It's like, nah. We ain't talking about that. We talking about this thing you did, guy. You did this. Answer for this one thing. Well, the Washington Commanders, said this. Less than 3 months ago, a 23-year-old player on our team was shot multiple times in broad daylight. Despite the out-of-control violent crime in D.C. today, the Washington Commanders learned for the first time on Twitter that the D.C. Attorney General will be holding a press conference to make a major announcement related to the organization tomorrow. The Commanders have fully cooperated with the AG's investigation for nearly a year. As recently as Monday, a lawyer for the team met with the AG who did not suggest at the time that he intended to take any action and, in fact, revealed fundamental misunderstandings of the underlying facts. It is unfortunate that in his final days in office, Mr. Racine appears more interested in making splashy headlines based on offbeat legal theories rather than doing the hard work of making the streets safe for our citizens, including bringing justice to the people who shot one of our players. A couple things here. Washington Commanders. Number one, if there is a criminal trial going on, the testimony of the defendant is always heard, should they wish to make a statement, should they wish to take the stand. However, I don't trust the guy that got caught robbing the bank when he goes, nope, wasn't me. Sorry, we have you on camera. Nope, wasn't me. Right? That is what we affectionately refer to, Lonzo, as the shaggy defense. It wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Oh, that shaggy, not the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll. The shaggy defense. It wasn't me. But we caught you on camera. Wasn't me. Caught you on the sofa. Wasn't me. Caught you in the bathroom. Wasn't me. Heard the screams getting louder. Wasn't me, right? Whole song about that. Hilarious, terrible. But it exists. It's a shaggy defense. Second thing, when they go, hey, we got this major announcement about a criminal investigation, and your first response is, but there's bad guys over there. Dude, I don't know if you know this about any lawyer or prosecutor ever. Turns out they can work on more than one thing at a time, right? Like, yeah, it sucks. It sucks what happened to Brian Robinson, the player who got shot. It sucks. And I absolutely hope that the story about what happened and whoever did this gets caught, charged, and punished. Absolutely, I do. Absolutely, I do. However, the attorney general can do two things at once. And when noted bad person runs to the defense of, but the other bad guy, that's not a good defense against allegations of criminal wrongdoing, right? Do you imagine the guy gets caught robbing the bank? He gets caught, arrested, put in the car, take him to jail, get him his attorney. They bring him to the courtroom. They're like, Mr. Johnson, you were accused of stealing $1.2 million from the First Greenville Bank and Trust. And he's like, Your Honor, I understand. And I cooperated with the investigators here. But there are murderers out there, Your Honor. There are murderers out there. Shouldn't we be focused on the real crime? Shouldn't we be focused on the murderers? There are people out there that are killing other people. Shouldn't we be focused on them, Your Honor? I'm a bank robber, you know? In the grand scheme of things, shouldn't you be focusing on the real criminals? Like, dude, it turns out they're also doing that. Dan Snyder, how did Dan Snyder become a billionaire when he's this bad at common sense, right? How did Dan Snyder become a billionaire when he is this bad at common sense? You know what the correct thing to do here if you're the Washington Commanders is? Shut the hell up. Just don't say nothing. Wait for the announcement. See what the announcement is. And when the announcement happens, respond to that. Anyway, the boss rolled up in here, Zoe, and was like, hey, Rob, you missed your benchmark segment. And I'm like, yeah, but somebody stank up the bathroom this morning, boss. We should really be dealing with that. That's the real problem here.
That is the real problem here, for sure.
I was only being like 22% sarcastic there. It is the real problem. That's the real crime happening in this building, right? Rob, you missed your benchmark. You didn't do that thing you were supposed to do. I know, boss, but have you smelled the hallway? That's the crime. I need you focused on those guys, boss. Not me who did a bad thing on the air at my job. I need you focused on the guys that are stinking up the office for the rest of us. In fairness, that is a better argument than Dan Snyder and the Commanders. Just gave. Let's take a break. Come back here in just a minute. Got a few more things that I want to run over on the show. Up next, the 2022 FIFA World Cup United States men's national team roster has been released. Greg Berhalter has released his results. I know that there are soccer fans in the upstates. I'm friends with all of you. It's y'all's time to shine. How do we feel about the roster? How do we feel about the depth chart that the Yanks are taking to Qatar for the World Cup? We'll address that next on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. All right, stream got a live read. Stay right there. We will hit some football when we come back.
find a way to get this one Thursday night. That'll be huge. That's where we're at right now.
Just got a text from the president of the Bills backers inviting us to come watch a Buffalo game with him. Yep.
Scheduled timing and PJ's previous performance, including a career high 117 yards against Atlanta, was the main consideration.
Short week, and when you look at really what he has done the last previous weeks, I felt like just that consistency. Just felt like in a short week, just giving him an opportunity to go back and the game plan that we're going to put together, what he did against Atlanta before, hopefully we can get a spark out of the offense.
I'm Jim Doki on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network.
We've all kind of gotten used to waiting too long and paying too much for things we need, right? Hey, it's Don with American-made windows, and we're changing that. Thanks to our American suppliers, you can choose your windows now, and we'll install them in less than a month. 1 month. And right now, qualified buyers can get 12 months, same as cash. Call Granger.com or just out by. Granger for the ones.
Sean Ezel entered the mortgage business in 2001 after leaving the Marines. He felt that local veterans and people in the upstate weren't getting the service they deserved when it came to mortgage. So that's why he started Palmetto State for Mortgage. For over 21 years, Sean's philosophy was, and still is, to say yes when others say no. They specialize in FHA, USDA, conventional loans, and 100% financing for VA loans. Find out more about.
I will represent Rob Brown in saying that Rob Brown don't fall through a table unless that table is on fire. Now he's getting worried. They don't actually do that here. They do it in Buffalo, right? They wouldn't do that here.
I have not seen anybody go through a table. I've only been to one Bills party, but I didn't see anybody go through a table. Doesn't mean it's a no. I just haven't seen it.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. You Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics. 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
Sponsored by South Carolina.
Yes, it'll be in the opening segment of the next hour. James.
Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer.
Sadist.
CSCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds in a store near you.
Dan Scott here.
Haven't I suffered enough for you?
Southern Conference matchup Saturday. Mercer pregame begins at 1:30 p.m.
Who would be starting StreamYard right now?
Search the Fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Alonzo and you. Lonzo will be doing his way too late in the week because Rob forgot Boo Box Bets draw in the first segment of the next hour. Then he will host Fight Club. We'll see how good of a mood he's in when that happens.
We'll see.
That being said, ladies and gentlemen, We need more punishments to add into Lonzo's boo box. All right. We need a few more. We prefer things that Lonzo does have to do on the air, and eating a jar of mayo or drinking a bottle of syrup is out of the equation.
It might be late in the game, but it shouldn't be because this is news. So we're, fixing rules as we go, or fixing rules, whatever.
It's year one.
Yeah, it is. We're beta testing. The thing is, I think there needs to be a limit of punishments. You have to have a minimum in there, or you don't pick. Because then
you got the one you didn't want out.
Yeah, but if there's only 3 in there, where's the fun in that? You made sure that your box had like 25 in there.
You were in charge of it.
Right, because I wanted it to be fair.
You had discretion to add or omit as you saw fit.
I wanted to make it be fair and make sure that you had a good variety. And even still, you picked ones that you actually wrote, which is weird. Out of all the ones I put in there, you picked 2 or 3 that you wrote yourself.
Sir, that is not my handwriting.
Yeah, finally.
That's yours.
How many times did it take you to get to that, though?
30.
Yeah.
Josh said, sing Michigan's fight song live on the air. For those of you not watching the stream, Lonzo was not pleased with that concept. I will.
I'm also not pleased with the fact that the person who needs to make sure that this is done is not doing it in a manner where time is given to the person who lost to actually make sure that the punishment happens.
We'll skip it this week.
No. It's all right. It's all right. There's just some things you could do to make it better. So
I will give you guys.
I made sure Rob picked his plan the one time he lost in a time where we had plenty of time to do the punishment.
If you guys give me 5 viable punishments to add to Lonzo's boo box by 11 o'clock, we'll do it. If you don't, Lonzo's off this week.
I lost. I'm going to pay the punishment. I'm just saying that there are certain requirements that we haven't set forth. I'm
bad at my job. I get it.
I mean,
bad at my job.
And if you knew you were going to be punished, would you remind someone of that?
Again, I'm bad at my job. I understand it. I acknowledge it. All right. If you guys give me 5 justifiable good punishments by 11 o'clock, we'll do it. If you don't, I'm letting Lonzo off the hook this week, and we'll just reset next week.
I don't want you to think that. By the way, Zach, dude, that's not a punishment for me. It's not, because I'll just look like Weird Al.
Zach said,
I'll look like Weird Al trying to be Coolio.
Zach said, get Lonzo's hair cornrowed. Texter said, make Lonzo eat calamari. Are you anti-calamari?
No.
That just sounds like lunch.
Yeah, I've had calamari before. I've had escargot before, and I know what that is.
Take Lonzo to a nice lunch.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't do that.
No. Yes, don't make me eat a chocolate cake on the air. No.
Yeah, I would not want to do that.
Texter said, wrap yourself in bubble wrap for an entire episode. Again, how's that a punishment? It's going to look silly.
I got to tell you, that would drive me out of my mind because of all the noise that would be made every time I moved.
Steven said either the one chip challenge or drinking O'Doul's so we can say Zoe drank a beer.
Yeah, that's not happening.
O'Doul's is alcohol-free.
Doesn't matter. I'll quit. I'll just walk out of the building. It's the premise of the thing. And I'm not joking, by the way.
I know that. Trey said that's my boo box. Rob has to watch a movie about a guy that paints with his feet. Ugh.
Oh, there is a movie out there. What is that? Is it?
Trey said there's one called My Left Foot.
Yeah. Didn't he play soccer also? I think it was Kenneth Branagh.
Listen,
possibly.
I am not going
to. Kenneth Branagh played Mark Ryan on Gilderoy on Harry Potter.
I watched the Harry Potter movies once, and I know Voldemort, I know Harry.
It's
I know
all right.
Hermione.
It's all right. The people who get it.
Good enough for me. Fan Lonzo must walk into an establishment with no shirt on that clearly says no shirt, no service. Texter said Lonzo has to eat homemade sausage made by Rob. Texter said eat pickled pig's feet.
I've done that before.
I'll say Lonzo's from Kentucky. He's done that. He
I'm
probably
not
pickled his own pig's feet.
See, I'm not from Kentucky. See, he shows you how much he pays attention. I'm from Ohio. My mom's from
Yeah, I know.
Kentucky.
You got Kentucky blood. You've eaten pig's feet.
So we all have blood from somewhere else.
Texter said, "Okay, Alonzo's off the hook. You guys are bringing some weird ones in here. Have hot wax dripped upon his belly. No, what?
What do you
What?
What do you do during your? I don't. Yeah.
Punishment suggestion, my Mike. You have to go frog splash the fountain at Bob Jones in your underwear.
That would cost me my job.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not do that.
Yeah. Mike said, I would like to say as a punishment for Lonzo, buy a Clemson ticket for Mike. That's a hell of an effort there, Mike.
And by the way, I've had a perm several times in my life. So it's other than the smell.
Yeah, Zoe grew up in the 80s. He had
Yeah.
perms.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I had a perm. I had a mullet perm. I had a mullet with a perm in it.
I don't need to have Zoe Rock in here with better hair than he already has.
Yeah, I could just show you pictures. I mean, yeah.
Eat a shot of ketchup out of Rob's belly. Okay, I'm shutting it down. I'm done. Never mind. Lonzo's off the hook this week.
I thought I blocked that site. Maybe I didn't.
That's it. Boobox Bets is off this week. I'm calling it. You guys can submit better punishment ideas than drip hot wax on Lonzo's belly and eat ketchup out of Rob's belly button.
This sounds like Rise Guys stuff.
Yeah.
Are they on there?
Yeah.
It might be them texting. We need to check those numbers.
I have been accused of being a shock jock before, which is dumb because I'm not. You guys are entering like Howard Stern's off radio territory right now. All right. No sensual acts on the radio. It's just not happening. All right.
Other than the sexy, seductive voice of Rob Brown.
Well, obviously.
Which could be considered that
All right, let's take our
depending
break.
on what music's playing.
Let's eat gas station
No.
sushi.
I've never ate sushi in my entire life, and I never will. Raw fish does not interest me at all.
It's not
If it's not raw fish, then it's not sushi. It can't be sushi and be cooked.
You don't eat crab?
Yeah, I've had crab
There
before.
you go. That's sushi. Crab sticks. Are
No.
sushi.
I've had cooked crab.
You've never just had crab?
You mean raw crab?
Yeah.
You can eat raw crab?
Some of it, yeah.
You didn't seem real certain there when you said, I think you can't eat raw crab. Where you just pick it up and take a fork
No.
and like break the shell and get in there? I mean,
Squid?
I've had that before.
You never had tuna? You never had raw tuna?
Tuna,
Sashimi?
Tuna is cooked before it's put in a can.
No, sashimi is just eaten.
I don't know what sushimi is.
It's tuna.
Tuna is cooked before it's put in a can.
Before it's put in. All right, this is going to be Rob the 1%er Destin snob coming out here. If you're eating your seafood out of a can, you're doing it wrong.
Dude.
You're doing it wrong.
Where did I live half my life?
Doesn't matter.
I live in Ohio.
Doesn't matter.
Is there any oceans near Ohio?
You don't need. You can get fresh seafood.
Where
they
am I
put
getting
it in trucks?
It's not fresh, is it?
It's
All right.
fresher than in a can.
How old does it have to? Well, it was fresh when they put it in the can.
Canned fish. Zach said, "I've never had crabs." Not what we mean, Zach.
It's good to know, though.
Not what we mean. Good on you, though. All right, let's take a break. I am done with this segment. Texter said the Packy One Chip Challenge. Yeah, that's in the box. That's in my box. All right, I gotta take a break. We come back here in just a minute. We'll get those World Cup rosters. Well, our World Cup roster. See how you soccer fans feel about them. That's next on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. That segment was a disaster.
Raw crab. Stop it. It was not. I mean, it was because people have no good punishments for me anymore. That's not my fault. That's not your fault either. Blame them. It's their fault.
While many people assume that sushi is raw fish, it is actually vinegar rice that is mixed with a number of other ingredients, which can include either cooked or raw fish. While raw fish may be traditional staple in most types of sushi, it is not a prerequisite for the dish.
What's your source?
Lionfishsushi.com.
Wow. Well, that's a reputable source.
Well, I don't know that they're sushi. No, I'm not just going to type in sushi.com. That could go very poorly for me.
So here's the thing. If you have something in your mind that something is something, whether it is entirely or not, that's like instant puke. And if we were going to do that, you should have ate the mayonnaise.
You can change your belief. You believing a thing is a thing and then being proven that it's should make you change
Have you
your
ever
belief.
eaten something and it crunched and it shouldn't have? And then just kept on eating it? Because once it's in your mind, it gets in your stomach and you can't make yourself do it. When I ate escargot at the Bombay Bicycle Club on a dare, it was good until it crunched. And then I started having a problem with it. Even though I knew it was snails, once it crunched, it got in my head and it was all I could do.
Keep from crying.
Well, no. Because it was a dare between me and my friend at the time to see who could finish it off without getting sick. So I wasn't going to lose.
Well, I was drunk the day my mama got out of prison, and I went to pick her up in the rain.
Wow, so you can actually eat raw crab. Ugh. Why? When you can make it into a wonderful cake. I love ocean snobs. Don't you guys love ocean snobs? You eat your seafood out of a can?
That's gross.
You eat your spaghetti out of a can?
Better. Do better.
Never thought I'd come to work and be seafood shamed. See, Maverick gets it. It gets in your head. It's like, oh, why? Just like whenever we have canned vegetables, I always find the stalk, especially if it comes from one certain store. I always find the stalk, whether it's green beans, corn, whatever. Find a stalk.
Weeknights on New Station at 8 p.m. Eastern. To find New Station on your television provider, go to newstationnow.com/join us.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
From the field, CBS Sports Radio.
All right, let's take a look at the World Cup rosters. The American World Cup roster was released yesterday. The squad has been announced, on which there are a couple of snubs, a couple of surprises. We start in the goalkeeper position where Matt Turner will be the starter. Of course, Matt Turner playing right now for Arsenal. The surprise at that position is Ethan Horvath and Sean Johnson. Ethan Horvath playing for Luton Town and Sean Johnson playing for NYCFC. Is that Zach Steffen playing at Middlesbrough was left off of this list, which is interesting because Steffen for a very long time was Berhalter's guy. He played for Greg Berhalter when he was the manager at Columbus, seemed to be the preferred starter for most of the cycle, but Matt Turner has been very, very good as of late. And Zach Steffen has been dealing with a couple of injuries and some uneven play. He goes on runs where he plays well, but then he also has runs where the goal's open. So a little bit of a surprise there. Johnson coming in, the third goalkeeper is effectively a vet leader, right? Like that's a guy who's just in the locker room to be a leader, to provide some chemistry. And Johnson, being a longtime veteran, is exactly that. As far as defenders go, Anthony Robinson at Fulham, Tim Ream at Fulham, Walker Zimmerman from Nashville SC, Serginho Dest from AC Milan, Cameron Carter-Vickers from Celtic, Aaron Long from New York Red Bulls, Shaq Moore from Nashville, Joe Scally from Borussia, and DeAndre Yedlin from Inter Miami are all on the roster right now. Left off the roster is where you start to get some interesting names. Reggie Cannon has been left off. That one is a little bit interesting. It's not necessarily shocking. Cannon has been the most capped fullback in the pool and has been consistently selected over some of the other guys that made the roster, including Shaq Moore. But you haven't really seen a lot of Reggie Cannon on the field for Boa Vista. So that one's a little bit of a shock. Miles Robinson being left off and John Brooks being left off were also a little bit of a shock there for me as well. The big question was going to be who's going to get the majority of the PT next to Zimmerman. Would it be Ream or would it be Long? Long has played more minutes than any other U.S. player since the team qualified, but Ream has not been capped since the first game of the World Cup qualifying cycle against El Salvador back in September of last year. So you get the impression that it'll be Tim Ream playing for Fulham that will get the majority of the go. In the midfield, Weston McKennie, Tyler Adams, Yunus Musa, Brendan Aronson, Kellen Acosta, Luca De La Torre, Christian Roldan were all on. Malik Tillman got left out, which is interesting. Now, another part that's interesting here is that Aronson has been listed as a midfielder, though he has been playing with the forwards for some amount of time. Doesn't really matter. It's more about the roster spot than the position that he is listed at. But he is a guy that's got some flexibility. He can play both on the wing and in the center, meaning he can attack up the side or be a mid holder if he needs to be. But he's been in decent form with Leeds as of late. So it'll be interesting. He might be a guy that gets an opportunity to get some starting 11 time. More likely that he is one of, if not the first off the bench. Out on the wing, Christian Pulisic, obviously in. Giovanni Reyna, obviously in. Jordan Morris and Timothy Weah are all in. Paul Areola left off, which is kind of interesting because Areola has been used so much. But here's the good news, if there is any for this roster for the Americans. The wingers are healthy, right? It has been a while since Pulisic, Reyna, Morris, and Weah were all healthy at the same time. This basically came down to a spot where for the first time in a long time, you had all of your top-tier wingers all healthy at the same time, which meant that somebody had to get left out. And it was Paul Areola of FC Dallas. It was going to obviously always come down to him versus Jordan Morris playing for the Seattle Sounders because the rest all being healthy just made it that spot. And then finally, and this is the most interesting spot, and this is the spot that I want to hear the voices of you USMNT fans and your thoughts. At the striker spot, at the up front spot, Jesus Ferreira from FC Dallas, Josh Sargent from Norwich City, and Haji Wright all make, which meant that Ricardo Pepi and Jordan Pifo both left off for the roster. And that is interesting because in the soccer circles I've been following as we get geared up for the World Cup coming up in, 11 days, 12 days we get started. In the run-up to the World Cup, it has been very interesting because the conversation has been who gets that last spot. Is it Ricardo Pepi or is it Jordan Pifo? And it was neither of them. It was Haji Wright, which is kind of interesting to me. I think Haji Wright's the most surprising name on this roster as a whole. Now, Haji right now is actually in good goal-scoring form. He's playing in Turkey right now. He's got 9 goals. The next leading scorer in the entire Turkish Premier League has 5, and it is one of Belgium's starting 11, right? So you got a guy playing better ball than one of the leaders from Belgium right now. Belgium's a very good team. 20 goals in the Turkish League, which is without question the most impressive goal-scoring record of any American. But there were thoughts that, Pepe has scored 5 and 8 in the Dutch league, kind of found himself in a little bit of better form. So I was curious as to why we didn't take Pepe and leave Sargent. But Greg said that Sargent shows a very physical style of play in the English Championship. And because of that, he believes that he'll be more effective against a team like England that's going to want to get physical with us. Who's going to be the starter? I don't know. Jesus Ferreira is in terrible form right now, hasn't scored in his last 7, including a pair of U.S. friendlies. He also hasn't been really a threat. So happy with the wingers, A-okay with the midfielders, A-okay with the defenders, fine with the goaltenders, really questioning the decision for the 9 spot, which has been the one spot that we have been really struggling to find the dude. What are your thoughts on this roster, soccer fans? I want to hear them. 71307. Start your text with FAN or give us a buzz at 844-326-3663. 1 hour left of the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yeah, that's like we said. I wonder if there are some injuries, Joey B, that we don't know about. Zach Steffen being one of those guys. Ricardo Pepi being the other. There were rumors that Pepi has been dealing with a bit of a lingering injury. But then on some of the threads I was following earlier today, the rumor was that it is not an injury for Ricardo Pepi. He just got left out, and that his camp is very, very upset about it. And, it's interesting because of the fight to get Ricardo Pepi and to get him from jumping across the border and playing for the Mexican national team. You put in a lot of work for Ricardo Pepi, and then you leave him off the World Cup roster, right? When he's been coming in, if it's not in form, but he's been coming back into form. It's interesting to me that you would leave Pepi at home when you had to fight so hard to get him there, especially considering I believe he's still got the opportunity to switch back to the Mexican national team, which would be, in my opinion, a massive loss. Haji Wright might be in better form right now. Ferreira's in terrible form, and I don't understand the Ferreira pick. But to take Ferreira and Haji Wright both and leave Ricardo Pepi at home when you fought so hard to get the guy is... It's that, I was for the most part okay with the roster, right? I wasn't ready to come after Greg today like I have in the past. But that one decision's kind of got me fired up a little bit, to be honest with you.
It's available right now only at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's bartesian.com/cocktail for Bartesian's best deal ever. Only at bartesian.com/cocktail.
By the way, sorry about the boo box thing, but it's just not ready. Not my fault.
Pandemic to inflation, I'm sure you could use a break. If your business has 5 or more employees and survived COVID, you might be eligible.
I will go in there and I will try to fix it after the show, and maybe we can do it tomorrow.
Challenge is getting your hands on it. Hi, I'm Howard Mackler, and that's why I founded GetRefunds.com to cut through the red tape and get you the money. The team of tax attorneys we have put together are highly trained in this little-known payroll tax refund program. We do all the work, charge not a dime up front, and simply share a percentage of the cash that we get for you. Businesses of all types can qualify, including those that took PPP, nonprofits, and even those that had increases in sales. We have helped return over $1 billion to businesses, and we can help you too. Just go to getrefunds.com/sports, Click on Qualify Me and answer a few questions. This payroll tax refund is only available for a limited period of time. Don't lose out on up to $26,000 per employee. Go to getrefunds.com/sports. That's getrefunds.com/sports.
Join us at Odyssey as we all do our one thing, together millions of things for our planet. Planning a road trip this fall? Maximize your fuel economy by inflating tires to proper pressure and packing light. When we each share our one thing, it becomes a million things for our planet. What's your one thing?
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, and increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Scott Graham here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 10 of the NFL season kicks off in Charlotte with NFC South action between the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Marcus Mariota and the Falcons need a win to keep a share of the division lead. Join me, along with Ian Eagle and Hall of Famer Tony DeSelli, for the Falcons and the Panthers on Thursday Night Football.
Tonight at 7:30, the NFL plays here on the Fan Upstate.
Upstate. WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville, the official sports voice of you, the Upstate fan. CBS Sports Radio. Live from the floors here.
And check this out.
On an official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents me to win.
Desert Sports Talk, manufactured locally for the Carolinas. The Rob Brown Show. Only
The Fan Upstate.
The third, the fight of the best of money hour of the Rob Brown Show goes now. This is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo Reitzel. Glad to have you guys along for the ride today. If you'd like to be a part of the show, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. Here's a question for you, Zoe. If I told you that you had to sit down and watch the same amount of games from one of two events, right? You had to, you're obligated to watch either the final 10 World Series games or the final 10 World Cup games. Which one are you picking?
World Cup.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that more pro soccer, anti-baseball, or a mix of the two?
You're giving me a choice between the two. Soccer's more interesting.
Okay.
Probably a whole lot's not going to happen, but you could say the same thing about baseball. So soccer is more fast-paced between the two. I don't have to worry about anyone stepping outside the box every time they're at the bat, every other pitch. Don't have to worry about any unwritten rules. I get to see some horrible acting when it comes to flopping. I get to see guys who are in really good cardio shape. You can't say that about baseball players. There's some guys, the cardio is just not there. So,
did you see the first baseman slash?
I legitimately surprised you there. That's weird.
No, it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me because I'm trying to genuinely get a grasp on. By the way, just for my own boats and giggles, I'm going to put up on the screen a picture of my favorite baseball player going right now, Daniel Vogelbach of the New York Mets. I wish he played for any other team so I could like him.
Are you sure we can do that?
Yeah, we can show a picture.
And yes, I know I wasn't on mic. That was on purpose.
Yeah. Daniel Vogelbach plays for the Mets, and he is, I don't know, Zoe, rotund, I think is a fair description.
Wow. You haven't even put it up yet, and I'm seeing some things that are sticking out, so to speak.
Oh, I thought it added it.
No, there you go. All
There's
right.
Daniel Vogelbach. Rotund, yeah? I'd say that's a qualifying.
Stripes are working for him, though, for sure.
Yeah, vertical stripes, your best friend. Horizontal stripes, not so much.
You don't want to do that, yeah.
Give me a big old boy playing baseball, right? Give me a big boy playing, but give me a masher.
That's fine if he can hit the dingus.
Oh, he hits the dingus.
But if he can't,
You're
then
worthless.
there's
You're
a problem. Yeah. It's just a fat guy on the team.
I'll just say this. When Vogelbach gets on base, the threat of stealing bases is about -8%.
He could be like, Kevin Owens or Bam Bam Bigelow and then suddenly have deceptive speed where you go, whoa, he ain't supposed to move like that. I mean, it's possible. I don't think this guy's got that, but, I don't know.
I love Vogues, man. I love Vogues. He's great.
It's a good word, husky.
Husky.
Love that word.
It's a good word. So here's a genuine question for you. We talked a little football in that last segment. Real simple one for you. Football or baseball? Soccer or baseball? Right? Everybody tells me baseball's dying. Everybody tells me baseball's dying. Everybody tells me baseball's losing listeners. Everybody tells me baseball is this, baseball is that. It's bad. It's going downhill, yada, yada, yada. Baseball or soccer? If you got to sit down and watch the last 10 games of the World Series or the World Cup, right? I'm gonna give you $100,000 to sit through one of those two. You doing the World Cup or you doing the World Series?
See, now you're also introducing money, which means you got to stay awake during whichever one.
Yeah,
you're
no,
watching.
you got to watch it.
Okay.
You got to be able to give me a comprehensive breakdown of every game, right? And I'm not talking like, here were the stats, here were the, I mean, you got to tell me what happened in the game. For six figures, are you going
It'd be a
World
little,
Series or World Cup?
It'd be a little more difficult for a 0-0 game in soccer to give you the comprehensive breakdown, unless that's what shots on goal, I guess. I mean, what stats are you giving out on something like that? Now, this is a legitimate question.
Well, I mean, it's just stats. I mean, you got shots on goal, you got blocks, you got passes completed, passes attempted, interceptions,
number of flops, number of headers. I don't know. I mean, I know some of the terminology and things, but I think it'd be easier to break down a baseball game than it would a soccer match if there's no winner.
Disagree. But that's also the take of a soccer fan, right? It's also the take of a soccer fan. But and this is why I mentioned.
But the whole premise is this probably is someone who's not a fan of either, like me. So you're definitely going to have to pay attention, but you got to know what the parameters are as far as to break something down to prove that you watched it.
Here's the broken down question. If can/win soccer pass baseball? Can soccer pass baseball? Will soccer pass baseball? And if so, when will soccer pass baseball? Everybody tells me baseball's dying. I don't see it. In fact, I did a podcast with my old co-host Cody Decker not too long ago, and we had this discussion. Now, he's a big baseball guy. He likes soccer too, but he's a big baseball guy. And we had this discussion because I have made the argument many, many times that soccer is without doubt growing in this country.
Right.
And it is escalated anytime we make a World Cup run. The World Cup run is not just because I want the World Cup to be something that we are winning at some point, but because America loves a winner. And there's a reason women's soccer was bigger in this country and probably still is for a number of years than men's. And it is because the women were bringing home trophies every 2 years.
All right, this station has been around 8 or 9 years. After you get past a certain point, you forget. From the beginning of the station, a similar question was asked. When will soccer surpass other sports? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the question's still being asked 8 or 9 years later.
Sure, it has not happened.
Yeah. So, but has it gained? I don't know. Because every time I think baseball is dead, I see another baseball field with the stands full. I mean, day games don't count. I mean, but if it's a Saturday night and they're showing baseball, chances are there are a lot of people there to watch it.
Here's another part of the reason I brought up this question. I had a conversation a couple of days ago with a friend of mine who is a station director at a local TV station, right? Guy I used to work for. We both ended up here randomly. And we got into a conversation about TV ratings, right? Because he called me and we got in a conversation about ratings predominantly on Saturday, about Friday and Saturday. And he said, Rob, I have in the past wondered, like, how big professional wrestling still is. It's like, I used to watch it back in the Territory days, the Attitude Era days, but I haven't watched in a while. And he told me that on Friday night. Now, granted, it's Friday night. Friday night is not a big television night, right? But he said on Friday night that Friday Night SmackDown,
which, by the way, is the most viewed wrestling event every week.
Friday Night SmackDown, he said, beat every other show on Friday night with one exception, which was Blue Bloods. And as Zoe pointed out accurate yesterday, nobody beats Tom Selleck. Never have, never will, right? Then he said that the NASCAR race this weekend outdid the NFL game. Outdid it. More, very close, but the NASCAR race just edged it. Now, I said that will make sense a little bit to me
because
for
a championship, right?
A trophy was going out. Somebody was winning. So you had, even like me, casual fans, right? Now, I'm not a casual NASCAR fan, but I'm not a diehard, right? Mainly because I don't have time, especially during football season. You'll catch a lot of NASCAR on this show during the summertime when NASCAR is what's running. But during football season, NASCAR unfortunately takes a back seat. Not because I wanted to, just because that's how it has to be for the show. But even Rob was going, well, somebody's winning a championship today. I need to be watching. I need to see. By the way, it was Joey Logano. So he said, I was a little surprised by that. I said, I'm not, because you got a lot of people who 9 out of 10 times they're going to watch the NFL over NASCAR, but they're going to titles getting handed out today. I better watch this race. And the 1 o'clock slate of NFL games was okay this week, right? Like, it was okay. What a great slate of 1 o'clock games. Then he started talking about Saturday, which of course the World Series was on, right? But it was up against Alabama LSU. And he told me that Alabama LSU, Lonzo, dominated the World Series. Dominated it.
That's not a surprise.
Like, but when I say dominated it, I mean by like 400% the ratings.
Especially when Alabama's losing and they because it's one of those teams that some people want to see lose, so they're going to flip over and watch.
He said that out the gate, right? Out the gate with the World Series starting, out the gate, the World Series was doing okay until Alabama LSU kicked off, and then the ratings just kaput. And then as Alabama LSU continued to be a good back and forth game, the ratings steadily grew for LSU Bama, flatline for the World Series. He said the best thing that happened for the World Series was Alabama LSU ending in the 8th inning, right? He said because the 9th inning of the World Series turned a good number. First 8 did not. I said, I'm not surprised by that either, right? And he said, I am, because it was an elimination game, right? Like somebody could have won. Houston could have won the World Series last night, or Philly could have pushed them to a game 7. I thought that would have cranked out some bigger numbers. I said, no, it's baseball's elimination game in a World Series is not a top 10 battle for a playoff spot or to eliminate somebody from a playoff spot at the very least. So I'm unsurprised by that. That number does not shock me. Did not shock me at all. So baseball is still fine. It still turned a number, especially after. But the biggest game in the baseball season of any two teams at any point, the biggest game of the season, an elimination game in the World Series, got outdid by a regular season college football game by about 1,400%. It was a ridiculous number, right? I worked in TV. I don't know exactly how the ratings numbers work, but he told me that the World Series turned like a 1.1 share. LSU Bama turned like a 14. Which I believe means that 14% of all televisions in that market were tuned into that game, which is a stupid high number. Stupid high. Like just barely under the Super Bowl. Stupid high number. Right? So I'm wondering if on Black Friday, when the U.S. plays England in the World Cup, what number does that thing turn? Does it get to a 2, right? Just a 2. Does it outpace the World Series? Because this is a year that there's a little bit of optimism amongst the Americans that we'll be a better team this year. It's the first World Cup with the new golden era of players, right? We missed the last one. We had Pulisic and all those guys, but we just missed it. Now we got Reyna, we got Pulisic. We got all these cats, these young cats, this next generation of players. If the World Cup, Zoe, turns, let's say, a 2, a 2.5.
What time is the World Cup on? Do you know? Because there's college football on Black Friday.
Let's see. I'll tell you right now. The Americans open up World Cup play in Group B on Monday, November 21st at 2 p.m. when they take on Wales. That's a Monday at 2 p.m.
Okay, that's not Black Friday. You said
Black Friday is when they play England, which is game number 2, which is the biggest game in this group. That one will be on Black Friday, also at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. Okay, so at 2 p.m., the college football game that it's probably going up against, we don't know yet. So it's either going to be Tulane, Cincinnati, or Baylor, Texas, probably.
It's got to beat those games, right?
Both those are TBD. Now at 3:30, you got UNC versus North Carolina State. They're both ranked.
So you might
soccer will still be on by then, right?
What time's that game? 3:30?
3:30.
You'll be hitting the last 15 to 20 minutes of that match. If the World Cup on that Friday, let's see, that's Black Friday is the 25th. Arizona State, Arizona, NC State, North Carolina, Arkansas, Mizzou, and New Mexico, Colorado State are the currently scheduled games that get played.
Well, you also got Florida State, but that's at night.
That's 7:30. Yeah, that'll be well after the and I'm just talking US v England, right? Like I'm not talking any other group games. I'm just talking US v England. That is the biggest game for us in this World Cup, right? You got to take 3 from Wales. You'd like to get 1 from England, and you got to take 3 from Iran if you want to move on. If the World Cup turns a bigger number than NC State, North Carolina, and more importantly, Zoe, if on that Friday it turns a bigger number at Friday, Black Friday, 2 in the afternoon, if it turns a bigger number than World Series Game 6 elimination game while college football is on at the same time, does that mean that A, soccer has either caught or is very near catching baseball, or B, is it going to be written off as, well, it was Black Friday, nobody was at work, it had the advantage over baseball in that case? Will there be soccer will never be big in America fans that will have to stare what I think is a fact in the face that soccer is gaining ground, not caught, but gaining ground on baseball when it's the biggest game in baseball season?
I just, I don't want to be negative here, but I don't think soccer will ever surpass baseball. I just don't, because again, I just from the beginnings of this station and even before that, I've heard how it's gaining in popularity, and how baseball is in its decline, but it hasn't happened. I mean, has the gap narrowed that much? Is it so visible that you can say, look how close they are to each other? I don't think you can.
I guess that's why I'm asking, right? Like, that's why I'm asking. Is if the World Cup, if England USA on Black Friday, 2 p.m, when there are college football rivalry games going on, right? If it turns a bigger number than Game 6 of the World Series, are we accepting that soccer has made moves towards, I'm not saying caught it, but made moves towards baseball? Or are we going to tune in to hear a litany of excuses why soccer turned in a bigger number than baseball? And by the way, I'm not talking regular season baseball, right? This ain't Houston, Philly, game number 110 of the regular season. This is Houston, Philly, game 6 elimination game of the championship of baseball, right? If it turns a big number, then baseball's championship elimination game. Are people going to say soccer has made a massive move towards catching baseball? Or are we going to say, are we going to come up with a laundry list of excuses why that number was better? That's my question to you guys. I'll throw it up on the poll. We have our other poll up on Twitter right now. Our other poll up on Twitter right now is, whose position would you rather be in? Atlanta's, leading the worst division in football with a sub-500 record, but very alive in the playoff hunt, or Carolina's? You're going to suck the rest of the year, but you've got an opportunity at an elite quarterback in the top 2 picks of the draft next year. Right now, it is very, very early in this poll. I just put it up a little while ago. But right now, Lonzo, and granted, we're in the Carolina, so the vote is going to be skewed. 88% of people who have voted on this poll say that Carolina is in a better position than Atlanta. 88%.
Yeah, but you also put them in a position where they'd have to vote for Atlanta. And they're just probably not going to do that.
That's true. That's true. Nobody wants to say anything good about Atlanta. And I respect that. Let's take a break, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday. And you know what that means. He's fighting through the pain. I can see it on his face, folks. Fight Club! Your home for all things combat sports in the upstate. The only sports station. The only sports show in the upstate that talks boxing, UFC, MMA, pro wrestling. And it's next on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, amigos, stay right there. Be right back.
Stop by their stores at 222 Trade Street in Greer or at their new location on Verde Boulevard in Greenville.
It all changes Saturday, November 12th. It's been years.
The bots always leave right before Fight Club. I don't know. I feel slighted by it. It's a conspiracy. I also apologize for all the faces that I'm making, but I'm having that old man weather problem. My arthritis is flaring up, and it hurts really bad. According to TMZ, Gisele Bundchen has reportedly picked up a Miami Beach home for $11.5 million, and it just so happens to be right across the way from Tom's mansion. I'm sure it has to do with shared custody and has nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, no, so do I. I was at Hall of Fame last Sunday after the Rabbits game. No, Saturday after the Swamp Rabbits game. There was a table of like 5 kids all wearing soccer jerseys. I haven't seen a baseball jersey in a minute outside of like at baseball games. That's beautiful, Joe.
It is time for the Fight Club where we fight hurt because that's what we do.
Fight Club!
And you know what?
First rule of Fight Club, Lonzo.
I've never seen the movie. What? It doesn't interest me. It does not interest me.
How does it not? You don't even know. You don't know.
Yeah, I like none of it was real. It was all in his head or something. Right? Am I right? Am I wrong?
You would love Fight Club.
Well, you know, it's Edward Norton and Brad Pitt and
You would love Fight Club.
Could it really happen? Does it fall into
Fight
my
Club?
Yes.
It does happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of my rules about watching movies is I want to see something that can't really happen. If I want reality, I'll just walk out the front door.
The result of your teacher hitting you in the head with a desk.
That never happened, by the way. I'm more elusive than that. A desk does that. If he was strong enough to throw that thing fast enough, maybe I would have. Now debris, that's a totally different story. But I ducked that stuff too because back in the day, I can move pretty well. All right, so the first thing that's going to happen in Fight Club today is unprecedented. For the very first time, maybe the last time ever, Rob Brown is going to sing the praises of a Paul brother.
You have been just waiting for this. Yes, I am.
I'm not being vindictive or negative or anything because Logan Paul deserves this.
He does, dude. He does. I hate it. But dude, that guy is not just naturally gifted at this, right? But he's very evidently put in the work to be good at it, right? We have seen a ton of celebrities show up, get an opportunity to be involved. And you can very clearly see that it was just like a fun thing for them, right? Like when Rob Brown gets called to play in a charity softball game and I put in precisely 0 practice for it. I just showed up, let her rip, right? Then you get some celebrities like Stephen Amell who are like, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do the best I can. I'm not a professional wrestler, but I'm going to do the best I can. And Stephen Amell did a great job. Then there's the logo, there's the level that Logan Paul put in. The guy very clearly took it very seriously and then went out and put on a hell of a match. I mean, a hell of a match, if I may stone cold it.
See, and here's the problem with this. Pat McAfee comes out and does what he does, and you're like, there's no celebrity ever going to top this.
And then Logan topped it.
Then Logan comes out, a guy, at least Pat McAfee was an athlete. Yeah, he was a kicker, but he still was an athlete. Logan Paul, I guess he had an amateur wrestling background.
That's what they kept saying.
Which is a good background to have. Have one myself.
I don't think he wrestled in college. I don't know if he
still
wrestled on his high school wrestling team is qualified as amateur. I mean, I guess technically it is.
Yeah, you can't get more amateur than that, at least until NIL makes its way to amateur wrestling, which could be there already. I don't know.
It is. You know who the fourth highest valued NIL athlete in college is right now? It is a gymnast from LSU.
That makes
Valued
sense.
at over $2.3 million in NIL so far.
That makes sense. So Logan Paul goes out and
By the
does.
way, you know who number 2 is? Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I mean, I do, but you know who number 2 is? CJ Stroud.
Okay. I'm surprised he's not higher.
Bryce Young's the only one higher than
Does he?
him. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Current Heisman winner is slightly higher than next Heisman winner.
So you're saying there's more money in Alabama than there is in Ohio? That's weird.
I'm saying one of them has a Heisman trophy, the other's working on it.
That's a good point. So Logan Paul comes out and he does things that have caused a lot of people to say he's a natural, that he should give up his day job, which is what? I don't know what I mean, he's on YouTube. You know, if you're on YouTube, your day job is doing stuff like this, I guess. I think the biggest fear was, and I believe you were a part of this. The biggest fear is that this guy's going to come in, he's not going to take it seriously, and he's going to make a mockery of something that already gets mocked.
Here's what I took it
by
as.
some people.
You're not entirely wrong. My thought was this. Dude is going to come in and he's going to use it as nothing more than an opportunity to pimp his YouTube channel. Now, don't get me wrong. That's part of it, right? When I do the stuff that I do, I love being involved in charity events. I've told you guys, if you were involved in a charity event around the upstate, like a sports-related charity event that I can help with, please email me, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. That's how I've gotten involved with First Tee of the Upstate. I've gotten involved with the South Carolina Youth Diabetes Association. Anything you do that is sports-related charity that I can help with, I would be more than happy to pitch in to the most extent that I can. But I would also be lying to you to say that I didn't pitch myself for these things, right? Like, I want you guys involved in the show, and I'm going to be involved in your charity. Like, let's all help each other out here. I was worried that Logan was going to show up and it was just going to be like, hey, look at my YouTube channel. Oh, yeah. Hi, Roman. But seriously, look at my YouTube channel. The dude wrestled he wrestled better, Zoe, than some of the guys on the main roster.
And some of the girls, too. Yeah. He also managed to get his vitamin water on the screen, which is a good move.
I'm not mad at him for using his chance.
It's
to
a
market
good
himself.
move by the WWE, who already makes a lot of money, to bring in all those people who he's got like over 1 million subscribers or something to his YouTube page.
It's got to be well north of that.
Yeah. And so you bring in that audience. So it makes sense from that standpoint. And also shout out to his boys, his guys that are on his podcast, because they sold that beat down well too.
Logan Paul has 23.6 million YouTube followers.
All right, so it's close.
26.3 million. We just hit videos with 10K viewers, and you and I are like, pop the bubbly, life is lovely.
Actually, we were like 80, 90, but I don't know if you've looked at it really close.
Are we still growing?
Yeah, it was. No, I'm talking about single viewings. That they're up there a bit.
Let's go.
I could be exaggerating. I don't think
we ain't at 23.6 million.
We are not, but we could be. So tell a friend about us. So he did it well. His boys from his podcast did it well. His brother never should have came from the back. He should have just left them back there, because he came out there and he looked horrible. That was the worst part about the entire thing. I also want to commend Roman Reigns for selling things as well as he did. Like, he was shocked the entire time from the match and couldn't believe that the punch hurt that bad and everything. But in the end, Logan Paul goes to another country in his third match, comes out and does that sort of thing. And if you're an NXT or AEW or Raw or SmackDown or Impact or some other place, and you look at that guy, how do you feel about him? I'm just curious. If you're in the business and you see someone, like say in the radio business, some guy comes in, he's on the mic once, and he's like, you know what? I think I want to try to do this. Next thing you know, he's a national, star in like 2 weeks. Does that make you mad? Does that make you jealous?
Yes. It made me mad up until I saw him wrestle Roman at Crown Jewel, right? Once I saw him, I'm like, okay, the only thing that would make me mad is if somebody gets a crack and does nothing with it, right? You and I were saying, and I won't bring up exactly who, because I'm not going to drag anybody in this business unless it just is mandated. But you and I were watching a video of a nationally syndicated show host earlier that had one of his staffers do something goofy on the air. And I mean, unintentionally do it, but do it on the air. And they made 15 minutes out of something that you and I were both like, dude, we're better than this, right? Like, we're better than this. Why are we not in that spot? And I'm going to be an egomaniac for a minute, but I was like, our show is better than this. And why are we not getting cracks at it? But that dude is going to continue to grow because he's already got it built and it just markets itself even when we don't like the product. Well, Logan Paul took an opportunity. He put everything into it. He went out there and he put on, in my opinion, though, the single best match at Crown Jewel, and it wasn't particularly close. And there were a couple of good ones. The single best match at that event, and I see no reason outside of a 20CL that, if that is true, that he couldn't continue to do in the future. His feud with The Miz was very good. I thought, okay, that's his ceiling, right? And The Miz is great. The Miz is really good at taking celebrities and making them look like wrestlers when they're not. I thought that was the ceiling. It was not. This dude absolutely killed it. And while I'm not a fan of YouTube celebrities, I'm going to give the dude his flowers because he went out there, he put everything he had into it, and he put on a hell of a match.
You know, here's what I believe. He may very well be hurt. I don't think so. I think he's got the Brock Lesnar type contract where he wrestles every couple of months, and or maybe he went back to training. It's clear that Shawn Michaels did a really good job training him.
Sure. I mean, listen, if you're gonna try to become a wrestler, right? Like, so again, because it's all about me, I got my one crack at professional wrestling, right? I got one match. I'm 1-0. I'm undefeated. I'm the Bill Goldberg of local, regional, small market wrestling shows. Undefeated. Who's next? When I went there, and they were like, all right, Rob, we're going to teach you how to take a couple of bumps. We're going to teach you how to throw a forearm shiver. Like, we're going to teach you this stuff. I went a couple of hours early before I needed to be there, though, because Dr. Tom Pritchard was giving the class.
Okay.
Hall of Famer,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so the boys work in the room, who were all great dudes. I still talk with a lot of them. The boys work in the room were like, show up, an hour before the match. We'll give you some tips. We'll give you your spots. We'll run you through what you're going to do, the bumps you're going to take, the bumps you're going to give, and how you're going to finish this match. And they go, if you want to come a couple hours early, Tom Pritchard's doing an actual wrestling class. I went through like an hour and a half of wrestling practice for the 2 minutes I was going to be involved in a 15, 20-minute match, right? Everything I had because I wanted it to be good. And it showed. Like, the guys afterwards, like, damn, dude, you did well. You did well. Logan went to the best, extensively trained, and was called upon to put on a main event that I think most of us went in going, Rubba's going to win this thing. Rubba's going to win this thing, right? It was going to win. Dude, there were about 3 spots in that match where I was like, damn, they might do it, right? They might do it. They might have him win this thing just for the chaos it would create because of how good he looked.
All right, so if Vince McMahon's still in charge, did Logan Paul win?
No, because Roman was always Vince's guy.
Right.
Right. And he was just built up so much that Triple H has got to take his time in de-escalating Roman. But no, he doesn't. But I think you're going to end up with the same result, which is he looks really good. Because at the end of the day, right, let's just call this what it is. WWE wants to grow the fan base quite a bit more. There's 26.3 million people subscribed to you. Let's assume that half of them are bots. Half of them are bots. You're like 12.5 million people that are subscribed to Logan Paul's YouTube channel, and he is going to be churning out, Lonzo, free content for you constantly. He's going to be churning out videos of training, videos behind the scenes. He videoed himself. He went live on the gram.
It was pretty cool.
To video himself dropping an elbow off the top rope through the commentary table during the event. I went to YouTube a minute ago and typed in Logan Paul just to see how many subscribers he had. The first thing that came up was not Logan Paul's channel, that video. That's how many people are watching it right now. The dude generated, I would guess, and I'm not exaggerating here, millions, multiple millions of dollars in what is effectively free advertising by taking full advantage of the opportunity he had there. And I may not like a guy. I may not like a guy and how he got where he got. I will never spurn a dude who gets an opportunity. I may hate how he got the opportunity, but I will never be a hater about a dude who gets given an opportunity and kicks ass.
All right. Never intended for nearly the entire segment to be taken up on Logan Paul, but it was that good. All right. MJF put out another killer promo yesterday, this time at a podcast recording. I don't remember the name of the podcast. Apparently it's pretty big. And where he compared himself to Bruno Sammartino, to Cena, to Austin, to The Rock, saying that he's going to be that next guy. Will he be that next guy? He also left out Roman Reigns. I just want to point that out. But
first off, it doesn't matter if he is or is not, right? And not like funny, haha, Rob did or The Rock thing. I mean, it doesn't matter if he is or not. What matters right now is continuing to build that character. That has, can we be honest, has kind of become a tweener now, right?
Yes.
Like MJF is over to the point that he's gone from pure heel to kind of that jackass that that everybody dislikes, but you're like, yeah, but he's still my friend. Like, he makes me laugh. I know that he's mean to everybody else, but he makes me laugh, and we've all got that guy. To the point that he is almost creating an unintended organic heel turn for Jon Moxley, right? Like, him and Mox are up for the title. He's almost gotten himself to tweener to the point that he's making Mox the bad guy, and that was never the intent. But he's just so damn good at it. Do I think MJF is going to 10, 15, 20 years down the road be a guy we mentioned in the same breath as Flair, Hogan, The Rock, Austin? Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Because when you are so good at it that you can have a crowd turn on a designated face and you can turn him for him, you're doing it really well. How many guys can you say? The Rock could do it. Austin could do it. Hogan could do it. Flair could do it. Rhodes could do it. Name me a guy right now that can turn somebody else's character against their will. I cannot think of another one going right now, or at least not that's anywhere comparable to MJF.
It's an amazing thing. I still don't think he's turning face, though. I still think this is entirely a work.
I don't think he's ever going to turn face. I don't think it's a goal. I think the goal is to get him to that Austin tweener level where it's like, if you really think about it, the stuff that Stone Cold did, even when he was facing the Authority as the anti-hero, was still pretty jacked up, right? Like, it was still pretty messed up. He was a bad guy. He just happened to be the enemy of the enemy is my friend kind of situation. I don't like that guy, but we got the same enemy, so I'm in his camp, at least for right now. I think that may or may not be the goal for MJF, but that's what he's doing right now, and the momentum is so good it can't be stopped. When he can turn Mox into a bad guy, I respect the hell out of that.
All right. As we go to break, what are you okay with the Usos surpassing the New Day tomorrow night? I don't know that that's going to happen, but it probably will.
Listen, this just comes down to who you like. We love the New Day.
Yes.
I love the New Day. The New Day is incredible. They're hilarious. They're fun. They care. They're involved. I love the New Day. But you got to admit, the Usos have been the staple.
They wouldn't be where they are without the New Day. Those matches they had with them
were killers.
Yes.
And you might be right. But you have to admit they have been the state. They were the ones who allowed the New Day to become the New Day, right? The Usos would not be the Usos without the New Day, but the New Day would not be the New Day without those 3 or 4 battles they had with the Usos to make them go from, haha, these guys are fun, to, oh, damn, they can wrestle, right? I think they coexist, but the Usos have been I don't have a problem with it. I'm a bigger New Day fan. But hey, sometimes your team loses the Super Bowl. That's how it works. Mine doesn't. We're undefeated in Super Bowls. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate, yo.
Rozier led Charlotte with 18 points. Mason Plumlee had a double-double. The losing streak is 6. They'll try and snap that tonight when they visit Miami. The Panthers and Falcons square off tonight in Charlotte. It's an 8:15 kickoff. The Panthers looking to snap a 2-game losing skid. P.J. Walker will be the starting quarterback. Baker Mayfield the backup. Carolina's 2-7 in the bottom of the NFC South. The Falcons coming off a loss. They're 4-5, tied with Tampa for the top spot in the division. As far as injuries tonight, Dante Jackson is questionable, but he was a full participant in Wednesday's practice. Falcons. Safety Justin Burris and receiver Rashard Higgins will sit tonight's game out. For the Falcons, A.J. Terrell's injured. He won't play. Neither will Eric Harris or Felipe Franks. Catch Furman Paladins football all season long on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate. Then listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders, and that's your sports flash on the Fan
All right,
Upstate.
let's finish up with some soccer.
With NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It was not a good day to be a starting NFL quarterback Wednesday. First in Buffalo, where Pro Bowler Josh Allen missed practice with an elbow injury. He's being called day-to-day, and his status for Sunday is unknown. Elsewhere, the Rams placed Matthew Stafford in the league's concussion protocol. But the team is optimistic that Stafford can play Sunday against the Cardinals. But will Arizona have Kyler Murray in that game? He's also being called day-to-day with a hamstring injury. Better news for the Titans as Ryan Tannehill says he's noticed definite progress in his injured ankle after missing the past 2 games. He practiced in a limited role Wednesday. And perhaps some hurt feelings by Russell Wilson after his old coach Pete Carroll says one reason for the Seahawks' success this season is that Geno Smith wears a wristband with the placeholder unlike Russ. Wilson replied Wednesday, quote, "We won a lot of games without one on the wrist."
Give me all the petty Seahawks squabble. Broncos country. Let's ride. That's amazing.
Let's check your weight. Hop on the scale.
Kevin says, duh, Rob, baseball is still America's pastime sport. Always will be. Yeah, I mean, in that is the nickname for it, right? Like, baseball got 100-year head start on soccer in this country. It better be the pastime. I'm not asking what is the past time. I'm asking what will people use to pass time in the future, right? Will you pass your time watching baseball or soccer? Now, as we've had the fight with, they're NFL guys versus we're college guys. I, and this may shock you, am very capable of, Lonzo, liking multiple sports at the same time. I'm actually very good at it. I've had a lot of practice. Baseball will not be surpassed by soccer. It will be joining soccer in the list of sports that I very much would like to be a daily conversation on this show. That's what I'll say about that.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Granger gets you.
I heard everything you said. I was answering an email about Burns Imaging.
We got to get those Furman tickets away.
I know.
Okay.
Got it, man.
The best part about taking Z-Quote Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy at night is actually the next morning. I wake up alert with none of the grogginess from taking too much melatonin. Pure Z Sleep Plus Next Day Energy is a bilayer tablet with immediate release melatonin and extended release B vitamins to help you fall asleep naturally and wake refreshed. It's my secret weapon for a great night's sleep and a great morning. Can't beat that.
Z-Quote Pure Z's gummies. Sleep better, wake your best.
Hey guys, this is Keenan Thompson. I have a problem with you. Yes, you. None of y'all told me that Auto Trader has millions of new and used cars that I can shop from home. I thought we were friends. I put smiles on your face, but I'm not smiling. No one told me that with Auto Trader, a dealer can deliver cars to my home or that I could shop by price on Auto Trader. No one. Consider this friendship that you just learned we had officially over. Finally, it's easy. Auto Trader.
This afternoon, rain from Tropical Storm Nicole. High of 61.
Weather brought to you by 1K. Cut out six-pack roads and reduce your use of plastic to help keep it out of our waterways and oceans. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes it greener tomorrow.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the fields. CBS Sports Radio. And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics. Just want to tell you, when we end Twitter Trending Topics and we end the show, we're going to give away some Furman tickets. So make sure you pay attention and stay tuned. And don't leave like a couple minutes early because you'll miss out on your chance to win tickets. You don't want to do that because you want to go see this basketball game. All right. The first thing that's trending is Chadwick Boseman.
So Black Panther Wakanda Forever drops tonight. Are you going tonight?
Yes.
Drops tonight, and the director, and I don't know if this is why Chadwick is trending. Obviously, it is, and I'll tell you straight up, like, before I knew that Chadwick Boseman was from this area, I already really liked him, and I thought he did an incredible job portraying T'Challa, right? I was very concerned when Chadwick passed far too early that they were going to recast him like they did with War Machine, right? The fact that they decided not to do that and to go a different direction and to just cast a new Black Panther or pick a new Black Panther, I'm very excited about. But they said that this movie was going to be, as much as anything else, a tribute, an ode to Chadwick Boseman and the character that he brought to life. And I will tell you that, you know, a lot of the movies in the last 6-7 months that have come out that I was like, I'm going to go see this in theaters. I didn't, and I acknowledge that. The lady friend and I have very much already made our plans to go see this movie this weekend in theaters. I have not been this excited about a Marvel film, though, since Endgame. Sincerely.
I am not certain about this movie. I'm excited is not, I'm going to go and probably be sad for most of it. So that part, the action's going to be good. I'm a little worried about Namor flying through the air because in the trailers, it doesn't look as good as it could. So we'll see.
You are very big on, like the for lack of a better word, like graphics in a movie are like one of your deciding factors.
All right, it wasn't always that way, but when we started the Upstate Pulse, one thing that I started doing is critiquing movies. And when you critique, sometimes maybe you look too hard for things.
Sure.
But if something looks a little wonky in a trailer, you hope they fix it by the time it gets to the big screen.
I get it, right? Because if CGI specifically is so bad in a movie that it breaks immersion, right? You're just like, oh, that didn't look right. The uncanny valley, they call it. If you enter that uncanny valley, it can absolutely detract from the movie, right? Because it breaks your immersion into that movie. But I've also noticed that, like, you are a harsh critic of them sometimes. Like, I wouldn't even pay attention to stuff, and you're like, did you see how his leg turned that way? Like, that wouldn't happen.
All right, but I think video games are also partially to blame. If a game looks better than the movie, then I have a problem with it because you spent a lot more money on the movie than you did on a game. So I'm not going in looking for stuff, but, I've already seen something in the trailer. I'm sure the story will be good. I'm sure I'm going to be sad. I'm sure the fighting's going to be excellent.
Sure.
And that Shuri is going to be awesome because every time she shows up on screen, she's been my favorite character. Even she was my favorite character in the first one. She's going to be my favorite character in this. I already know. And she's going to be featured more than anybody probably. And I can't wait to see Ironheart. There are some things that I want to see.
Do you think it's Shuri?
It's her. Come on.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm wrong, then I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Caller number 3 for a pair of tickets to the Furman game tomorrow.
Furman tomorrow night, 7 p.m., taking on Belmont. That'll be a big one. Belmont, remember, just went on the win and got a win over the Ohio Bobcats, which are supposed to be a good team this year. It's a good Belmont team. Furman's looking real good as well. So caller number 3 right now to 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663. Third caller right now to that number wins a pair of tickets to tomorrow night's home basketball contest between the Furman Paladins and Belmont, courtesy of Furman University and the Fan Upstate. Caller number 3, 844-326-3663. That's it for us. We'll see you back here tomorrow to break down Carolina v. Atlanta and preview the upcoming weekend in football. We appreciate you guys listening. We'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again and better on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, stream. Appreciate you guys. We will see y'all back here tomorrow. Goodbye.